And the gold medal race is on. Well, a couple hours ago it actually happened, but it's on the replay. We got the main event, NBC, whatever, Olympic coverage going on. It's been an exciting week in sports. The controversy over curling has been next level. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. Anyway, I'm sure we'll chat about that among other fun, ridiculous things. Almost Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, Almost Agreement. Check what's going on in there. April 14th, set your calendars, 8 p.m., the Knox County mayoral debate, hosted by me with some actual, moderators that are smart people, but I'm the host. So you should vote for me. Wait, that's not how it works. Anyway, I'll get a link up on for more information down on the website soon. Go to your favorite podcast provider, like, friend, share, follow, text it to your friends, do what you can do to support the show, tell your friends about us, and we're going to talk about things and do what we do, and we're going to check in on the comings and goings of the different government bodies that we try to pay attention to. Okay, here we go. Hey, buddy!
Hey.
How you do?
Happy.
How much something cool and exciting that has happened with you?
Not much.
Damn it! I'm gonna keep working on it. Every week I'm gonna come up with new phrasing, and one time we're gonna be like, "Oh, this happened," which you kind of end up doing later in the show sometimes. Anyway, what did I joke about in the intro that we need to talk about?
Curling?
I forgot. Oh yeah, the curling controversy. Have you not heard any about this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The women's team, I think, got busted for it, too.
I mean,
there's been a few different teams, I think, that have been alleged.
yeah, and so apparently there's a couple things, and one of them is you are not allowed to touch the stone. You can only touch the handle of the stone, and that's the thing the Canadian dude was doing. He was giving a little finger point after the choke line or whatever they call it.
Hog line.
And he cussed at somebody, which apparently that's one of the rules as well. You're not supposed to. It's a
very gentlemanly sport.
Yeah, it's
And
gentlemanly.
apparently it's kind of like self-regulated. I don't think they have actual referees.
Yeah, there are. There are some sort of judge panel, whatever. Because if they get one that's too close to call, because generally speaking, yes. Like when they play around or whatever, they get down there at the end and they're all kind of piled up, and they'll the teams will look at each other and be like, "Yeah, you're closer, we're closer, whatever, cool." Yeah. But if it's legitimately too close to call, there's somebody from the event comes out with the super measuring stick thingy that puts it's like a.
Yeah, I think they're only I guess when they're called upon, do they have some kind of ref come out there?
And so I don't know if there is some sort of body to appeal to, because I mean there's got to be some, I don't know, whatever, we'll see. We won't see. I don't know. It's curling. Curling is awesome. It's the greatest sport ever created by our good friends from Scotland. So congratulations to people who got into curling like we do every Olympics comes around, and everybody gets into curling for a couple weeks and then it falls off. I'm sure Ice Chalet and Cool Sports has got classes that they're getting sign-ups full.
I don't know if I've ever seen dots. Or I guess the course or whatever at the Ice Chalet at least.
I don't know. I had somebody tell me today, if you could afford to build a 4-rink ice arena in Knoxville, that you would have it rented out to clubs and organizations constantly, and you'd make millions of dollars. I said, I don't think so, buddy.
Yeah.
He is part of a pretty successful organization, so maybe I should believe him. I don't know. So yeah, there was that happened this week in international Olympic news, I suppose. Ladies won the hockey tournament. Men are on their way to the final against Canada. We have a men's and women's repeat final. We'll see if the men can repeat what the women did, and we can beat Canada in hockey for. I don't know. I know the women's side of the hockey tournament. It's been U.S. Canada almost exclusively from the beginning of it being a Olympic sport. But the U.S. team's pretty damn dominant. In their group play, they their least number of goals they scored in a game during the group play was 5. I think it's 5-2. 5. I think their lowest margin of victory was 5-2. But they've scored 5 or more in every game. The only game they haven't scored 5 goals in was the last game against Sweden.
That's what I was about to say. What
they scored
the last one?
That one was.
It's 3-2 or something like that.
I think it was 1-1 at the end of regulation. It took overtime to get to the 2-1 final, or maybe it was 2. No, it was 1-1. Yeah, it was because U.S. had the 1-goal lead. They scored right before the end of the first, I think it was, and it was not the most exciting hockey game I've ever watched. But Alas. So, all right, we need to get some sponsors. Almostagreement@gmail.com. If you have money and want to send it to us, you need to send Sam and I to Milwaukee for Summerfest in July. It's one of the few active bands that are kind of bucket listy for me. It would be Muse. That's the only date they have this year, period.
Huh.
Like, they don't have any Europe dates. I think the last date they had was like September of 24.
I can't say. I think I've got two, maybe 3 albums of theirs, but they're all like something like the first few.
They are like they're like a rock opera version of Rage Against the Machine. It's a lot of terrible government allegory. Like, they take a few stabs at Trump.
I'm always bad at reading into
a
lot of songs.
Or
I'm
maybe,
like, I never got that.
Maybe they didn't, and maybe I'm just reading that into it. But it certainly could be. You could allude a number of different world leaders into. There's a line that when the clown takes the throne, and you could allude that to a number of world leaders, I'm sure.
I think Radiohead's "Hail to the Thief" was kind of a dig at GW.
I'm sure there's plenty of that going on in and around and all over the world. So, So, I'll put a link to our new GoFundMe so you can GoFundMe and Sam going to plane tickets and hotel stay and tickets to Summerfest, which I'm not a festival person, you know that, but
yeah, assuming they're one of the headliners.
Yeah, So, like, last time they were in the States, I think, was in 2023. They played around Europe and stuff, and like a couple of Asian gigs in 2024. So,
yeah, I saw them over 25 years ago.
Really? Seriously? 25 years ago?
Yeah.
You're so old.
I know.
And I'm older than you, so I should shut up.
Too.
In the more local that we actually cover, there's a few fun items. We talked a little bit about the Bolso bills last week. It got out of its subcommittee, and so this new weird, not necessarily anti-Obergefell, but kind of anti-Obergefell thing, which it's just like I don't get it. I just don't understand the function. Which really begs the question: is this intended to get a lawsuit started, and then we can get it up to Supreme Court, and then Tennessee can be?
Yeah, I think so.
Can chalk up another win to the where's the most conservative state in the land?
That's the inkling I get.
Which I guess, I mean, to be fair, I could kind of see where this Republican psychosis feels justified in their actions. Because if they're so awful, why is everybody moving here? If it's so awful, why are we one of the biggest influx immigrate, whatever, what's the word? Is that immigrate or emigrate? Is that the I or the EM? IM or EM?
IM is coming in.
Okay,
Emigrate
so
is.
we are taking in the most, like, we're one of the fastest growing states in the nation right now.
Are we?
And so, like, especially per capita, you know, from how many people have come into the state versus how many people were in the state, kind of stuff. We're growing very quickly. We're doing very well in the growth category.
They kept putting us on those damn lists of top places.
I know,
to go
which
to.
sucks, and I hate it. But it's like, but at some point, like, you kind of, I don't know, you know.
I mean, increasing the tax base can be beneficial, but
not even increasing the. But I'm just saying, like, you're doing something right. People want to live here. Like, people are leaving other places to live here. Like, as much as we don't pay attention or care necessarily what our governments are doing, certainly has something to do with some of it. You can't just up and leave and not have a job. You can't just up and leave and not pay bills.
I mean, having a job there, but sorry, I thought you were trying to say that people are moving here because they like the politics. I don't think most people, when they move, look too hardcore.
I agree with you, except I think the results of the politics are what the people are looking at. It's like it's cheap to live there,
right?
You know,
there's nature,
freedoms, and whatever it is. If nothing else, if there's any true politics look, it's this shit that's going on where I am. I don't like. I need to get out of here.
Possibly.
At least on a surface level, to a person like that,
they thought grass is always greener. Or maybe they'll think it won't be as bad.
Maybe, but it's still like of all the grass is greener possibilities, why this won. And so it's hard to it'd be hard to say honestly that our supermajority Republican state legislature hasn't had a genuine effect on how many people want to live here. Which, I mean, it's just I don't agree with it per se, but I would like to see the research if it's possible to research it. There's something going on. Again, the natural beauty is its own thing, but every place has got some beauty of its own and some variant thereof.
Yeah,
that's not true. Ohio's ugly as shit, but Wisconsin wasn't particularly pretty either. Lake Michigan's not, like, none of the Great Lakes are super exciting. They're cold and flat and not enough waves to be any fun, but enough waves to be no fun to swim in. That was my experience in Lake Michigan. It's always cold.
Really not Erie. I think on like a windy day you could get 2 to 3 feet.
Yeah, but anyway, so I don't know. I think it's like in my heart of hearts, I don't believe that stuff like this is attractive to a lot of people. I'm sure there are some people who maybe grew up in like a Illinois or New York or California that really hate the lefty vibe that their community is and are leaving there to come to Tennessee for Tennessee's conservatism vibe. But it still doesn't make any sense because if you look at the numbers, the majority of the people moving into Tennessee are going into Nashville and Chattanooga and Knoxville, which are the bigger major metro areas. They are the more left-leaning areas, even though Knoxville's not quite made that full shift yet, but they are the more liberal zones inside the state. And so I don't know. Like, I think I would love to figure out the truth, like deep down, if you could interview people and get real deep and be like, build a survey that says like, why did you leave where you were? Why did you choose Tennessee to go to? Why, like, try to figure all that out and see if there is some unifying factor.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine that a lot of people's top of their list thing is, oh, well, the government of Tennessee hates gay people, so that's why I wanted to move to Tennessee. Like, if they're being honest, even that, I don't think people would say that.
I mean, I'd say there's probably a good chunk that just look at just the general cost of living with, it being harder and harder on more and more people. And we've had the advancement of more people being able to work from home, so you have people that have that benefit of just being anywhere with internet access.
Yeah. But I'm curious how many of those there are, like, realistically. Like, I know it's a thing. Like, I could see certain jobs and whatever, but, like, I think it's a fascinating, like, I just don't buy it. I don't buy it from the corporate standpoint. If I am, I don't know, let's say, some tech company, and you're a programmer for me, and you're a really good programmer, and we're in San Francisco, and I'm paying you like $180,000, $200,000 a year to work for me, because that's the going rate for a programmer in San Francisco. If I'm the corporate guy in that, and you're like, well, I could do this job remotely, right? And they're like, yeah, we could do that remotely. All right, I'm moving to Tennessee, where the cost of living is way less. I, as the business guy, would be like, okay, I will permit you to work remotely, but I'm going to pay you $150. Because the only reason I was paying you $200 is because it's so damn expensive to live in San Francisco, and I needed you physically there. And now that we figured out that I don't need you physically there, your value goes down. Or more importantly, I'd say, this is a remote capable job. Let me go find somebody in Tennessee who has the technical capabilities to do this job, and I'll just have them work there because I pay them $150. That's more than they're making for Tennessee companies. That's way less than I'm paying for a local guy here in California.
Yeah, possibly.
That would be the logical, capitalist thing to do in that situation. Why, if you're Apple, I'm just picking on Apple for no good reason, but if you're Apple, why would you pay local market rate for an employee who's not living in the local market? Because it does, that's part of the equation when you're making up salaries.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I would like to think in a perfect world, I pay you by productivity, not by how much your milk costs when you go home.
Right.
But most companies, for one reason or the other, the reason that they settled where they settled, they understand that going along with that, the cost of living locally is going to be part of their payment structure. So, I don't know. So, my point being is, I don't know how many companies, if you're a major marketing company out of New York and, you're a big marketing brand or big marketing company, you work with major brands and, it's getting too expensive to live in New York, guys. I'm going to move to Tennessee. I'm going to work remotely. It's like, okay, cool, but I'm not paying you $250,000 a year Because part of the reason I agreed to pay you that much is because I understood it cost that much to live here in New York.
I mean, how much of a percentage they actually kind of like factor into cost of living? Because a lot of those jobs, do average, like you said, it's not far off between 150, 175 or whatever.
But again, but I don't know. I doubt it. I don't doubt it. I highly doubt that it's not a significant factor in maybe the original pay structure that the company set up.
Yeah.
Now, once the mass of the company's going, and then they just try to like lean into the premise that this is how much we pay starting programmers, then we go blah 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 from there, whatever. It's like, I don't know. Like I would not in a heartbeat. Like if we were to open a shop way out in like, the back corner of Roane County, I don't think I'd pay the same as I pay here in Knoxville. I'd have to see. I'd have to check out what's going on, but I don't think I doubt. I would bet you go around Walmarts around the country, regardless of what the local minimum wage is. Walmart, that'd be one. I bet you a regular associate at a Walmart in California makes oodles more than a Walmart here in Knoxville makes.
Well, oodles, maybe.
I mean, well, part of it's California's minimum wage is way higher, but even in that, I mean, I think Walmart here pays like 15 or 16.
I'd be skeptical.
I mean, I don't
They're
think
kind of like
I don't know
renowned of doing just like barely above what they have to.
I don't know. I could be way out of line, or people like maybe this is a problem with general education. I doubt there are a lot of places paying less, like for adult required jobs. Like fast food. Even in fast food places, I'll bet you they're probably averaging at least 12 or 13. I bet you at McDonald's, there's some 16-year-old in McDonald's is making $12-15 an hour right now. We made $5.50, $6 when we were there. $5.73.
Just barely above minimum, I think.
I got a promotion at one point. I got the striped shirt, but but anyway, we get my point being is like companies that operate in multiple places pay differently by location because of the demands of that location. They're different. I don't know. Again, on a pure capitalist perspective on it, why the fuck would I pay you a salary that is partially based on the cost of living here where my office is when you're not coming to the office? I would encourage you to move to Tennessee and pay you $50,000 less a year. You're ahead on spending power, and I'm paying less for labor.
Yeah, but say the company downsizes their office, how much savings are they having like a large, corporate office structure versus
maybe nickels and dimes, but labor is going to be the biggest. Like on a company like that, labor is probably like on an Apple. I don't know about Apple, but like Google or Facebook or something like that. Like labor is probably 90% of their total expense annually.
Yeah.
So if you can trim off a 0.5% in labor, that's millions, if not billions, of dollars annually for a company like that. You're not gonna downsize capital expenditure, buildings and stuff like that equivalently without major shock to your system. But you could do it with, like again, if this was the deal, I would like even opening a physical office to do the same work in Knoxville that I was doing in California, and paying what is more market rate for Knoxville would probably be cheaper for a company like Google or Apple or one of them right here, even with that capital expenditure and stuff like that. It just doesn't make any sense.
If they did it across the board, I mean, they would have to take a large number of employees. It's not this kind of like handful here or there. It's not really. It's going to be a drop in the bucket for a large company like that.
But I'd still be. I think it would be an active. Like I would again, if the.
I mean, they haven't moved from where they are. I mean, if this was a big thing, you would think they would move. I mean,
I think it's a major shift in the way we look at employment because it was a big thing for a while there. We had the COVID thing, which made it necessary. Like it could have been done years before. COVID just forced people's hands for a little while, and then everybody went back and was like, "Oh, wait a minute." Our assumption was people would be way less productive if we let them work from home. But look here, we're actually a little bit more productive.
I'd say part of it, they do have kind of that local talent pool. You've got a number of kind of prestigious colleges around kind of
Right, and
quote-unquote
right,
Silicon
and it's
Valley and
it,
whatnot.
like an infrastructure has built up of people that are going there seeking, not indifferent to like this whole like I want to be a movie star, so I'm going out to LA. I don't have any work or anything, but I'm gonna go serve tables or whatever, and maybe I can get lucky and get my break.
Yeah.
And so yes, your Silicon Valley companies kind of created their own climate
Yeah.
of people that were wanting to get into that field and wanted to work for the best companies in the world that do that field, and so they're just showing up out there being like, hey, I need a job.
Right. I'm sure they're probably getting some level of tax breaks on certain things.
So anyway, going way back, I don't know. Like I'm trying to rationalize these things because like I could see how a Zachary or a Lafferty or a Lane Davis or a stupid spiky hair kid that we make fun of all the time, and the guy that paints the basketball ref, and all these different moron, crazy, conservative elected officials we have here in Tennessee. I could see how their brain says, "Look around. We're obviously doing something right." I get it. I don't, and it's like I can disagree with it, but I'm really like, there's no data per se for me to disagree with it on logic. It's just it doesn't feel right to me.
So it's taking my thought that I think it's more just cost of living. I mean, people just do a generic search of top 10 states to live in. We're top 5.
But still, like I mean, I don't know, man. Like
I
if you
don't
get
think people are digging into what laws have been. I mean, we've been in the news a little bit, but I don't know how widespread that is. And we know that people are notorious.
I mean,
for
it was
not
a
really
Tennessee.
following.
It was a Tennessee state law that was the abortion overturning, right? That was stemmed out of the Tennessee law.
I don't think so.
The Tennessee 3 got super famous there for that stupid thing or whatever.
Yeah, most people have forgotten about that already.
Well, a school shootings, a school shootings, a school shootings. We have those all over the place. Tennessee's not any better or worse than anywhere else in the country.
Right.
So, like that being part of your decision, unless
we haven't had a big one since the Covenant.
Right. That's the one that got the Tennessee 3 kicked out of.
Yeah.
There, 2 of them kicked out, and 1 of them censured or whatever happened to Gloria.
Right.
Which it's hard not to assume there's some sort of racism going on with that because it's like you kick out the 2 black guys, what the white lady gets to say. When they all did the same thing, but right. Gloria would have gotten reelected to that seat. But it would have been fun and interesting to be, right here on the ground for that special election for Gloria to re-get her seat back after having been expelled.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I'm with you. Like my gut reaction to it. It's like, no, I don't think people really like what's going on. Like I think most people don't care, but I think it's the same thing though. I think. The same reason people are moving here because X, Y, and Z is attractive about Tennessee are the same things about people that live here. They're just going like, I love living here, whatever, just shut up. I don't want to hear about it.
Right. That's what I was about to say. We know that most people aren't politically active, so I doubt that most people it's going to be the same thing. People were politically active in their state. Unless there was something that drove them out. I'm sure there's some of that in some states.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard... So somebody pushing back on the idea. I guess a lot have been said about, they've been saying that New York's going to lose people left and right. But
well, I mean,
point out, I think it was more talk of like all these millionaires are going to leave it. They've been saying it for like 15 years.
Right, they always say
New
it
York's
every time.
going to lose their millionaires, but apparently like their population of millionaires has actually gone up.
Yeah, and that's always what the tax code there is always based on. Well, we want to make it okay for these millionaires to stay here because if we make it too bad, they're going to leave and. They pay like 60% of our total taxes in the city of New York. So we can't let them leave. Because there was, was it de Blasio that was floating the idea of like I can't remember what they called it, but it was basically like a departure tax. If you sold your home and left the city of New York, they're going to tax you on it. Huh. Basically saying we need your tax
to enforce.
Make it right, but making it punishable to leave New York as a way to try to generate the tax revenue they're going to lose by the people fleeing because they don't want to pay the taxes. That was the premise, at least. I don't know. I don't remember if it was de Blasio or who was before Adams. Was that the Cuomo? No, Cuomo was the governor.
Yeah, Cuomo was the governor.
Yeah,
I think it was.
And then he was running for mayor too. Fascinatingly,
he ran for mayor. Yeah.
But so staying on the local or on the state government stuff. both Lafferty and Zacherty introduced bills that were going to fuck with tenure for teachers in state schools. Which, I got mixed emotions on this one.
What's it about?
So the Lafferty one was just straight up, if you don't have tenure by July 1, 2026, you're not allowed to issue tenure. No state funded school is allowed to issue tenure after July 1 of this year. If you already have it, you get to keep it. But if you don't get it before then, they're not going to issue any more tenures.
Interesting.
Which apparently UT and a number of other state funded schools are like, hey, like, we'd love the idea of being able to more directly discipline and deal with our faculty than this tenure program is, but it's going to be real hard to attract good professors and stuff to come teach at our schools if they don't have tenure as an option.
Right.
Or
have that incentive to stick
right,
around.
as something to come here and be a part of. And so Lafferty pulled that one, and I can't remember what the phrase is, but that's one where it's not dead. It's still technically active, but it's there. He put it back in a file in his office. And when and if he feels like it, he can re-put it on the calendar. But he just withdrew it from the calendar.
Okay.
But didn't kill it. I guess when session ends, it'll die because it's not active. But at least for now, he has the ability to bring it back out. Which basically, because Zachary, who does this other bill, which is the softer version, which is still not great, but Zachary was a co-sponsor on Lafferty's bill. And so basically, it's kind of like I think Jesse put it really funny, but really well. It's like it's a case of bad cop, worse cop, where the Zachary one, which is the more softened version, which basically just takes a lot of the protections of tenure. The biggest one being like the disciplinary side. Really, like the main stroke of it would be it would remove the faculty peer panel from a disciplinary review process. So basically just lets the administration do the discipline they want to do as long as it's within policy and guideline and blah, 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 blah. They no longer have to make the case in front of other faculty.
Yeah.
And then that person who's getting disciplined doesn't get the opportunity to make the case in front of that other faculty. Because the thought process being, and I get it on both sides, I guess, the thought process being, it's like, well, if you're faculty at that school, if they're going to if you're going to support the punishment of this person for this thing that they did, then if you do something of similar kind, then that puts you in space where, especially if it's for political issues or something like that, they're professors at schools, so they should be smart. But what I know is that we have short attention spans for the way politics works as the population. I wouldn't doubt that some teachers and professors are the same way. In that, just because I agree with the administration today doesn't mean I'll agree with it. Doesn't mean the administration tomorrow will agree with me. So maybe I shouldn't give the administration the power to do this thing to my fellow teacher, because if that body shifts around a little bit, they might come around and do that to me. And so that's part of the point of having these panels, of these peer panels being part of the review process.
All right.
And so it takes out any political, because especially if they're state-run schools, the state governments and federal governments will lean on them because they get their funding from stuff. And this is like this part of that's part of the protection. If you're an admin, like a Dondi Plowman here, it's like, Marsha Blackburn can lay into her all she wants about firing this teacher for making fun of what's his tard for getting shot. And, Marsha Blackburn and all those people can start yelling at Dondi about fire that teacher. And she's like, well, that's not how this works.
Right.
And regardless of how Dondi feels about the situation, the system protects her from having to do something that she may or may not actually want to do because of the system. And so I think, but anyway, the Lafferty bill, or the Zachary bill, the softer one, did get out of its first subcommittee, and it's now in its next. I don't know. Like, I don't know how much I care, realistically. Again, it's the same issue I have with K through 12 schooling, in so far as if we're going to have state-funded, state-controlled education, the state's version of education is what you're going to be allowed to do. That's just the natural result of a system. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it other than that. Yes, like I am, as much as I joke around about, or as much as I fancy myself a libertarian, what I truly am, and I don't know what the technical term is, I'm a fan of this, of the governmental system that I describe and has been described by many as the benevolent dictator. That's what I want. That's the best world to possibly live in. Problem is it's kind of an oxymoron in kind. Usually, it's very rare that you get a dictator that's a nice guy,
Right.
that actually is doing things for the good of his own people. It's usually a self-power situation. That's what it is. But in a perfect world, a benevolent dictator would be the leadership and the government system that I would prefer. But it's never going to happen because the people who seek out their dictatorships are very rarely have much, if any, real benevolence.
More often than not. Yeah.
So I say that to say that if we understand that as okay, yes, functionally, if there was such thing as a true benevolent dictator, that would be preferable. But we understand that that's not a possibility. It's very unlikely. The odds of that ever happening are slim to none. So since we understand the shortcomings of the human species, to know that that's not the best way to govern, that understanding should lead into the idea that if the state runs education, then the education will be the education the state wants. There's no such thing as a benevolent school board, state school chair, or whatever their title is. There's no such thing as a benevolent education committee, subcommittee member in state legislature. There's no such thing as a benevolent person in this situation. It's very unlikely that that one exists, let alone enough to get anything passed through subcommittee onto the House floor and then put into practice on in our schools around the state. It just like that seems logical to me. Am I making sense at least? Whether you agree or disagree with my statement?
To an extent, yeah.
What do you mean to an extent?
I mean, the legislators are on a number of different committees.
Right.
You know, take the education one as an example. I don't know how many of those actually have any kind of like education degree or education background.
Right. Now,
I mean,
some,
you
but
hope
not many.
they have some, but
right. But again, that leads into my point is like that the to have a politically elected system try to oversee something that should be merit-based, which is what you're saying.
Right.
Something where you have the people that are the smartest, that understand the systems, understand how schooling works, have those people in charge of these things. Having elected individuals as part of that, elected individuals in that, automatically excludes that.
I think they just get assigned. I'm assuming
they have
for
to
it. Petition,
like,
yeah.
They ask for. I mean, they all get at least one or two. I can't remember how it breaks down. They all get a couple or whatever, and they get different levels of seniority on them for how long they've been in the House, and or but it's like it's elected by basically the Speaker Sexton, or at least for all the Republicans get them assigned by Sexton, but usually it's because they ask for it. Like I'm pretty sure if I remember right, Eddie Manis asked whoever the speaker was when he was a freshman legislator to be on the education subcommittee and he was bragging about it to me in a nice way, in that whoever the speaker was at the time, might have still been Sexton back then, basically said, we don't usually put freshman legislators in the education subcommittee.
Right.
Because it's a big, complicated, issue-driven thing, and we wanted people to have a little more experience before they get in there, but I see that you're charged on it, we'll get you in there or whatever. So he ended up getting it in, or getting that assignment, but, it's something you go out and ask for, or you get punished with because you pissed off the speaker or whatever, and they put you in the subcommittees that nobody cares about, or the really boring ones or whatever.
Right.
And so it's just part of the systematic. Who's on the subcommittee is part of the systematic, but but again, even if, of our 99 House members, I'm sure a handful of them are former educators, Gloria Johnson being one of them. I don't think Gloria's on the education subcommittee, if I recall correctly. So, of those 99, I know there's a handful of teachers, but not many.
Yeah.
But even that, just a teacher and an executive administrator to a giant school system that is the state of Tennessee schools is a wholly different animal as far as having an expertise. Yes, you understand on the ground what it's like to be a teacher in that system, but the system's a massive, an admin at that level is a whole different animal.
Well, I think they leave a lot of that to the Department of Education.
Yeah, right, but still,
they probably asked for some changes to be made.
Right, but whom are appointed individuals by the legislature and the governors.
I was going to say, I think it's the governor.
And so again, it's like my point being though is that there is no combination of things that we're going to have a education subcommittee that's full of the best and the brightest on how education works in the state of Tennessee, let alone the best options for education out there in the system. And again, not even the best and brightest in understanding how to make one of these things work if what we want to educate our kids part of, like just in the curriculum part, when things go through those subcommittees, that curriculum conversation is automatically tainted with partisanship because it's a partisan body and everything they do has some sort of partisan tint to it. And so at some level, no matter what happens, what's best for education and students and all those things is not what's going to come out of one of those things. It may be better than a worse option that was possibly on the table, but it's never going to be the best option because at some level it's going to be, for Tennessee's sake example at least, at some level it's going to be a Christian conservative perspective from the Christian conservative right that we have that dominates the legislature. There's no way it's not going to be tinted with that. That's why we keep trying to get 10 Commandments in there, even though everybody on the planet knows it's freaking a violation of the First Amendment, but they keep pushing it anyway. Not the best and the brightest, obviously, because the best and brightest would be like, I see where you're coming from on this idea. It's not legal. We're not doing it. Can we put this to bed now and not bring it back up every year?
Right.
It's not in our wheelhouse. It's not in our. We're not trying to find out some creative way to force something in that nobody really wants. Again, going back to the point, though, there's no combination of things where an education system that is foundationally built on what the state wants it to be isn't going to be what the state wants it to be. If the state is funding it, if the state is making decisions on who's running things, if the state is making decisions on what's allowed in classrooms and not in classrooms, if the state's part of the conversation about what benchmarks we want to see after third grade, after seventh grade, after senior year in high school, whatever it is, if that's part of the system, no matter what, the politics are going to be part of the conversation. It's going to be part of what's getting injected to our schools. And so if you have a problem with what's going on in your schools, you're subject to a political process instead of a market process, which is why the advocation for, like, why I kind of lean towards, I'd like the idea. I would love to be in a planet where private schooling was normal, like dentistry. You find the one that works for you. We have some sort of system. Everybody does it. Some people skip a few years because they have a financial struggle or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's just a normal part of life that you go to the dentist, you take your kids to the dentist. I'll put it that maybe a better way to put that would be, when I was 21, 22, 23 or whatever, well, I guess 25 when I got off my parents' insurance, I didn't go to the dentist for like 10 years. I'm sure you're probably not dissimilar to me, and you put off some dental work over time, right? Right. That's when you're an adult, and you can't afford it and this, that, or the other. But when we got pregnant, had kids, they went to the dentist. We didn't skip those for financial reasons. We made sure they went to the dentist because it was important. And if we lived in a world where education was thought of in the same way as pediatric dentistry and it was just all private schools, it might be a better version of things. I don't know, to be honest, to be fair. I certainly understand the idea that the much less fortunate or the much more fortunate will just buy their kids into a better program and price out things and make it, exclusive and exclusionary and all kind of shit like that. And it's not awesome. I agree. But at the end of the day, I'd rather not have the state involved. I'd rather have nonprofits doing stuff. I'd rather it be like some sort of like charitable system where it's like, hey, not indifferent to some of this, like this charter school that failed after a year, but like a charter school spinning up a charter school and putting it down in one of these, poor neighborhoods and be like, hey, we're not going to be awesome. We're not going to be the best school in the city, but we're going to do the best we can with what we got, and we're going to help you take care of your kids. As a nonprofit, maybe faith-based, maybe not faith-based, who knows? Maybe a faith-based one that doesn't inject their faith as part of it to be more inviting to more members. I don't know. I feel like we could do that without the state's involvement, and we'd probably be better off for it as a society, or at least as a free society if that's something we're into. Again, my point being, it's the same thing with gerrymandering. It's the same argument I keep making with you with gerrymandering. There's no way, while I 100% agree with you, why can't we just draw logical lines around the right number of people? If the district is this big, just draw the most concise, logical line around that many people as you can, and let's move on. Quit making these weird shapes to cut out this and add that and do all these things to make this district more of this or more of the other, because that benefits you, right?
Yep.
And we've talked about that a bunch, where my conclusion, after much debating, has become, I 100% agree with the premise of what you're trying to say. The problem with it is there's no way we could build an organization to create new districts absent the partisanship thing that it is, or that currently exists. There's no way we're going to get people to fill those positions to do that job without having the legislature or the governor's office or some combination involved, which is going to automatically then start attracting people who are, people that want to be delegates for, governors, or, like these people that want to, that are like actual, Republican Party executive committee members. Those will be the people that will be attracted to this job, not normies like me and you that would go there and sit and look and be like, yeah, no, we're not drawing this weird little hook over there. Doesn't make any sense. We need 200 more people in the district. Just move this line up just a little bit, and that gets us our 200 people. Moving on. That's how you and I would do it, because we're logical people, because we don't care about the partisan part of it. But the people that would be attracted to the system, any other version of the system, are the people that care. Yeah. And they care because they want their team to win. And the people that are going to create the system to hire these people are people who care. So they're going to create a system to hire people that's going to help them. So it's the same thing for schools to me. It's like it's inherent in the system. And so the logical thing to me would be to turn down how much the state gets involved with stuff and how much we allow the state. If the state was better at what they, better at what they did, they'd be like, we're just going to do less, not functionally less for you on your day to day, but we're not going to add more things to the fold of what we take care of. We're going to keep it at where we are or turn it down. That would be my take on things.
Right. I mean, you still think there's a chance, if there was more local control, local decision making, would you still have the probability of there being kind of like collusion and kind of political?
Which one, on like redistricting and gerrymandering?
No, for like education. If you took the stake less out of it,
I think
you still have the chance of people that are overseeing, making the decisions that the state's not making. You still have the same chance of somebody corrupt being in that position as well.
You do, and honestly, you have probably a larger chance of more weird corruption on the local level because it's so small. But I don't know. I would think that because like to me, like school board in Knox County is dumb. Like it's a very like they do very little when it gets right down to it. It's silly little policy stuff here and there. They approve spending on stuff, and like nothing that really, really matters is under. Like, let me back that up a second. In fairness, when people get upset when you sit down and you're talking to voters out there or talking to politicians about schools and stuff like that, what people are upset about is the content of the classroom, the content of the education, the quality that they feel like they're getting for their tax dollars spent. That's what people care about when they're talking about schools. People don't give a fuck about dress code policy. Like, nobody's getting high and mighty and excited about dress code policy in Knox County schools. People care, don't get me wrong. But what's going to get you out to vote? Well, we're not going to allow kids to wear death metal band t-shirts in Knox County schools anymore. Get out and vote for me if you don't want to see saggy pants on your students and blah, like whatever. Nobody gives a shit about that. What people care about is, what are you teaching them? Like, what are you teaching them? What tools are you using when you're talking, and to be fair, on some places it has happened, are you doing a freaking math word problem that includes a bunch of weird random woke shit? Because it's happened. Is that something we're doing here? That's not something I don't think that Knox County as the school board has a lot of say in. The state education does, but Knox County School Board said, like, hey, math teachers, you're not allowed to use a gay couple in your math questions anymore. I don't think that's something that Knox County School Board can put into place. That's something the state would put into place, which is stupid, and it's oversight. And it's like, if your teachers are too stupid to teach the shit, then don't hire them as teachers. Like, if that's something that disqualifies you from being a functional teacher in this system, don't hire them. problem is, only people that want to be teachers are fucking lefties anyway. It's a little conundrum that we have. And again, it's the same problem with having a state education system. I would bet you if you go around and you knock doors and you sat down with teachers and got them on their truth serum, I need to invent this truth serum so I can sit down and survey motherfuckers. You get this truth serum built and you sit down with teachers and you start talking like the major policy stuff that's left or right, a lot of teachers are going to be liberals. Knox County, especially college-educated white people, young adult to middle-aged college-educated white people, demographically tend to be Democrats. Like, that is a standard. Like, throughout the country, the world even. College-educated white people tend to be more liberal, especially in America. So I would guess that if we had a real survey of teachers where they were honest about it because they weren't afraid of some repercussion because they know the school board and the state government is not very liberal, if you could get it honest about it, I would guess that 80 to 90% of our educators in Knox County schools would consider themselves liberal or left-leaning.
Possibly. I don't know.
Like, minus some gym teachers and stuff like that, I guarantee it. Like, I mean, you've got to be. Like, you've got to be a little bit liberal to want to be a teacher. You're not doing it for the fucking money. You know, like, what would possess somebody, like, on a core personal trait to want to be a public school teacher?
You seem Republican or conservatives don't care about, all they care about is money.
I mean, doing things for the betterment of others for no real benefit to yourself is as liberal of an ideal as you could put together. The Republican concept is you do for yourself if it helps others along the way, great. Well, if that's the mentality, if you're going to be a teacher, you're going to pay me a lot of fucking money to be a teacher. Because I'm going to do for myself, and if that helps others along the way, great. That's the right-leaning version of it. Yeah. But the left-leaning version, educating our kids are the future. They're the most important thing. And it's also another one of those, collectively, we're going to teach each other, and we're going to learn together. Collectively, that's a very liberal idea, where the right is more parents teach. What the parents want you to know is what you need to know, not what we as a community or a society. The society's input on what your kids should or shouldn't know is none of our business. It's parents' choice. That's a big current phrase with vouchers. That's the Republican ideal. And so my point is that if the state had its way, they wouldn't hire any of the fucking teachers they're hiring anyway, because all the teachers that they're hiring are fucking libs anyway, and they hate libs. And so when libs use normal language of their lifestyle as part of their teaching technique, it's off-putting to the conservatives in their state house. It just is.
Yeah.
Like, you almost seem offended that I'm calling teachers liberals. I guarantee it, man.
No, I don't disagree. I don't think it's 80, 90%, but I would say that, yes, they're probably the plurality of teachers.
I would
at least lean a little left. I don't think they're a bunch of just hardcore lefty communist, socialist. I mean, Marxists. All three.
To be fair, like, public schooling is a socialist ideal. Like, it just is. That is socialism at its finest.
Right. So is Medicare and Medicaid.
I know, and the right hates those in Tennessee too.
They don't care as much about Medicaid. They want to cut that, but I think more conservatives care about Medicare because they know it's a...
Because old people are all that matters.
Right.
Like, if we're talking politics, old people is all that matters.
Yeah.
And, so if you want to get our schools better, like, if you want better schools, talk to your parents and grandparents, because whatever they want was actually going to happen.
Get them out of their retirement home and get them to the polling places.
Well, no, they're going to get to the poll. You don't know. They're going to the polling places anyway. Just tell them when they're talking to their when the AARP sends them out the survey. These are the answers to your survey questions, Nana. Because this is what we need. You want to do. You want to be right. You want to be a good mom or grandmother or whatever. This is what your kids and grandkids need. Stop worrying about your 401k and your house value, and start worrying about your kids and grandkids.
Yeah. And
vote like your grandkids matter. Instead of yourself. Mom, I love you. I mean, we talked about it here before. My dad's a dyed-in-the-wool Republican. He's been a Republican anytime I've ever talked politics.
Yeah.
And I think Trump, too, was the first time he didn't vote for Republican for president in his life. He went to fucking Vietnam, for Christ's sake, and still voted for Republicans after Vietnam.
I mean, we're stubborn people. We like to. We
I'm just saying.
We don't like to change.
Like this, but I mean, like my dad lived through it and he saw it. Right. He was there in it, and he's still like Nixon more than he likes Trump. I think Nixon was out.
And both parties aren't exactly the same as they were.
No, they're
50
not.
Years ago.
But well, they are, because they're as amorphous and inarticulate as they've always been.
In that aspect, yes.
I mean, that is. We're on episode. What did we're about to hit like 1,000 episodes at this point. I can't remember no, that's not true. What episode number are we on? I need to fact check myself real quick, because that was way too big of a ridiculous estimate.
No, I think we'd be close to that.
No, we're up there, man. We've done a bunch. But the one thing I've learned, and I've bitched about and I've talked about 1,000 times on this show, is the D and the R don't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything except for what it means today and what your interpretation of what it means as it applies to that person on this day. But yet we live and die by it like it's our favorite sports team as citizens, but they just kind of morph in and out of what it means as they feel like it needs to apply today and whatever. Yeah. So, yeah, okay, you're right. You're way better than me. This is episode 406.
But does that count individual interviews?
No, there's about 20 that I did interviews and stuff on that I did as different episodes.
Okay.
But then I just started doing them as episodes after a while, just in chain. So like there's some, like I think I've got a Becky Massey, which is like 42.5, like it's a half, like it was between when we did 42 and 43.
Yeah.
But then I did Becky again like a year later, and it's episode 6 or episode 99. And then, and then I did something, I don't know, whatever. The point of the story is, I still don't know what a Republican or a Democrat are, and that's been my consistent long-term question that we've asked for.
We just have to accept their definition of what
it is
the party platform is
today.
At the time. There was another education bill I read that I think it was about like a Johnson City rep that is trying to take out artificial dyes out of school foods. That excludes any, I guess, like vendor that's there.
What?
But it's still not going to go into
third
effect.
Party.
Yeah.
Right. If we're having a pizza party, I can still bring in my Domino's that's chock full of red number 6.
I'm assuming it's some kind of like contractor
the
that's
cafeteria.
there. Like I know when we were in school, there was like that little pizza kiosk,
right?
Which I'm assuming was some kind of like outside company that brought that in.
I don't think so. I think that was just a little perk that they had built into the cafeteria system to.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't think.
No. But it was also going to exclude
even like
drink machines.
Well, because because we talked about like the Chick-fil-A that was in Presidential Courtyard when I was at UT.
Right.
That was operated by Armark, because Armark operates all the food services on UT campus.
Yeah.
But it's a Chick-fil-A and Pizza Hut branded thing. But for the person that worked there, they were just an Armark employee like any other cafeteria employee.
Or are they just buying bulk from like the vendors that the regular restaurants get their?
I mean, it's some sort. It's probably close to a licensing contract.
Yeah. It's like, all right, you can use the name, but you've got to go through this vendor.
Right. It's got to be right. You got to order this product. You got to cook it and prepare it this way. This is the thing. Like I'm sure Pizza Hut and Chick-fil-A both send in corporate trainers to train the teams on this is how. Right.
Using
but it's
name,
more of a
live
licensing.
up to that quality.
Right. It's more of a licensing deal than it is a franchise or whatever you want to call it. But that's because like this like I don't know what the deal is with that. Like why Armark gets exclusive rights to be the only.
So they're the de facto UT provider of
right, but what,
a multitude of services.
What would it damage? What damage would it do to UT to let Chick-fil-A run their own Chick-fil-A on campus? Other than kids don't have anything to eat on Sundays.
Right.
But let Pizza Hut run their own Pizza Hut because like Chick-fil-A, like it's a Chick-fil-A franchise in the mall. That's a Chick-fil-A proper. It's owned and operated by Chick-fil-A.
Right.
It might be one of very few Chick-fil-A's that the building. I think Chick-fil-A. I think the franchisee owns the actual restaurant. That the building and all the equipment and all that kind of stuff, that's owned by the franchisees and a standalone Chick-fil-A. Where in the mall they are renting. That's the only Chick-fil-A that is a rental.
Yeah.
But why couldn't UT do something like that?
I'd say there's a lot of stores that are renting that property, don't actually own the property that building sits on.
That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like Chick-fil-A is one of those landowner games. That was a Cookout thing. That's a Wendy's thing. Like that's a Wendy's corporate policy.
And the one in Turkey Creek, last time I drove, the old one, the building was still there with like the playground inside, and they moved just up the street for whatever reason.
Way bigger, and the drive-through was the problem.
Yeah.
And they took the kids. So it's heartbreaking about it. There's a freaking playground in the one that's closed, and the one that's not closed doesn't have a playground anymore.
Yeah,
which has been a thing all over the place. Like McDonald's is like the McDonald's on Emory is the only one that I've been into in years that still has a play place. And it's a good like
part of that's probably cleaning.
Place.
It's like they want to send somebody in there, and they don't want to hear parents bitch.
Well,
when
I don't want you hanging out if you're not buying
cheeseburgers and ketchup smeared everywhere.
Like when the kids were kids, we used to seek those out on road trips.
Yeah,
get out and run around and go crazy.
Right.
Burn some of that out and get back in the car. And
exactly.
Let's get back on the road. But anyway, how did we get to Chick-fil-A on campus? Another education bill.
There's an education bill that's been proposed.
And what was it about?
To restrict artificial dyes.
Artificial food dyes, and
yeah.
I don't
it
understand.
would go into effect I guess it'll give them like 2 years to kind of go into effect. Which the article also mentioned that a number of like General Mills and those kind of people, I guess since there's been a public kind of asking of it, that they're going to start to limit artificial dyes in their
a lot of the supplier, whether it's U.S. Foods or Cisco or whoever that the school systems are buying from, a lot of their supply is going to start not having it in it, not because the schools don't want it, but because of these different manufacturers are starting to take it out too.
Yeah,
which is fine. I don't know. Like I feel like it's like, I guess like okay, pass the bill if you want to pass the bill. I mean, at this point,
the idea of it, I just hate that it took crazy RFK to like convince people that like artificial dyes aren't very good.
And I guess that's the bonus of it. So at least Knox County schools will get over that hump, or Knox County, Tennessee schools will get over that hump. And so when Trump doesn't get elected again, because he's not going to run again because he's already run his 2 terms, right. And the new president comes in and fires RFK, and we get some new health and whatever that RFK's title position is that's bought and paid for by Big Pharma and Big Medicine and Big Farm and Big Agra and all that kind of shit, and they reinstate the use of dye number 6. At least Tennessee will still be without that red dye number 6, and that'd be great. That's my problem with it.
I don't see it reversing on it, possibly.
That's my problem with it. I feel like it will. I feel like it absolutely will. Just because it's going to be, we're going to, like, whoever goes in, whoever it is, fucking AOC or Kamala or whatever, whatever the new Democrat is that takes the White House, it's just going to be, what did Trump do? The opposite. What did the guy that Trump assigned do? Opposite. Don't care.
I don't think so.
I don't care if it's good or bad.
The dyes and stuff. I think there's been enough of a push that people are starting to realize, because there's been talk of it for years.
But that's what we talked. But like that's what we talked about when RFK was getting confirmed or whatever. We were talking about the time. Like I was like, there's some stuff that I'm excited about. This being one of them.
Right.
Now, the new food pyramid thing I think is great, which is basically just turning the thing upside down because it was so backwards. Like I think that's great. I think it's crazy that the old food pyramid
saturated fats are at the bottom now or at the top.
Well, they're not as right. It's not the little right. Like carbohydrates, breads, pastas, and stuff like that. What was the bottom of the pyramid is now the tip of the pyramid. It's the small part. That's the big thing. Protein is the big one.
Okay.
Or something of that nature. It's something like that. It's much more like realistic. Because like the history of the old food pyramid, right? Like the actual scandal that is that we still don't really talk about very much.
No.
I mean, that was one of those that. That was one of those that, like, some of the like ConAgra and those kind of people who had owned tens of millions of acres and tons of wheat and stuff like that were like, no, don't start telling people that carbs are bad for them. It's not good for us. And so they built the food pyramid saying carbs are good for you. They're the most important part of your food diet. Like, it was a bought and paid for kind of deal.
I mean, they are still beneficial. It's
Cereals
just
and
when you're
grains.
sedentary that those carbs turn into fats and sugars.
Yes, they are good. They are good working calories. But we are not good working people to get good working calories. And
Right.
But even still, like, even like if you're good active, like, I mean, like, go look at, like, I mean, yes, like you get to like some dude like The Rock who's trying to stay 400 pounds even though he's not naturally that big because he's just a big old brick of muscle.
Right.
I mean, yeah, that dude's eating like, what is it, like 10,000, 20,000 calories a day or whatever to keep on his muscle mass because he does so much physical activity to be so damn buff as he is.
Right.
That his body will start eating his muscles off the bone if he doesn't stuff calories into himself constantly. And so, yeah, he eats big bowls of pasta and stuff like that.
It's got a lot more protein and stuff. It's
And-
like
and-
muscle
right, but I'm
building.
saying, but he also eats a lot of pasta just for pure calorie sake because he needs calories so that his body doesn't start digesting his muscles.
Yeah.
Because it needs stuff because it burns so much stuff constantly because of all the work he does.
Right.
Yeah, that guy could eat a freaking bowl or 2 or 10 of pasta a day and be fine. But that's not, whatever. Anyway, I'm excited with, right, this is the stuff that I wanted to see out of RFK. And then and if we can get some stuff local, like if we can get some stuff here in Tennessee that is then codified in Tennessee law so that when and if, hopefully you're right that the new administration, whoever it is, when they replace RFK, doesn't just go on a reverse card, just go out throwing reverse cards on everything that RFK did while he was there, that they actually think through it and say, okay, we're going to leave this one in place. We're going to get rid of that one because that one's some loony shit. Because they're probably right. Hopefully you're right that that's what they do. But just in case, if the standard operating procedure of the new Department of Health and Homeland or whatever it is,
Health and Human Services.
yeah, Health and Human Services, if their instructions from the new president is just to throw a reverse card on everything, then at least this one will stay in Tennessee and we can keep the eye out of our kids. Great. Yeah. I'm good with it. I'm super good with it.
I'd like to see more push for getting like local, more local provisions brought in.
Yeah, I'd love to see, like, I mean...
Because I've seen, like where, I don't know, maybe it's fake, where like, famous chefs or whatever have gone to the school and shown them how they can at least grow some of their own vegetables, but how like they've gone into the cafeteria. And they're like, hey, if you buy like fresh fruits and vegetables, you can literally cut down your cost. And it's not any longer of like prep time.
I don't think
you don't have to buy like potato flakes. You can actually
I don't think that's
get
true.
real potatoes and get mashed potatoes.
Because I don't think that's true. Like, we could do it if you want to test the theory. We could, like, I can go pull up our order websites off of the major food suppliers, which is the same place all the foods are buying, or all the restaurants are buying.
Yeah,
all the restaurants and the schools are buying their food from. And I'm sure that there is some contract in place where Knox County Schools is probably paying less across the board than I am for the same products.
right.
Because of their mass, which I'm fine with, or because
But you could do the same with somebody buying direct vegetables versus
that's what I'm saying.
bags of
There
frozen
are for 100%. There are things that are more expensive to buy from a food wholesaler without tax because you don't have to pay tax on it because you're making it for resale as a restaurant. There are things that are still more expensive than going to Walmart and buying it. Yeah. But that's a whole other thing. I watched a fun clip on Walmart. There's it's like in Wyoming or something. This guy that owns like 4 or 5 little like mom and pop style Butler and Bailey kind of grocery stores, and he was talking about it. He's like, "Listen, Walmart's not selling anything at a loss, but I've gone into Walmart before, and they're selling major product for less than my wholesale cost."
Yeah.
And I can't remember, they broke the whole thing down on what the pricing game scheme is, and it's literally like Pepsi built a program where they raise prices. Basically, Pepsi on behalf of Walmart will raise their wholesale costs to other retailers if that retailer is beating Walmart's prices. So Walmart has a standard rule. I don't know what it is exactly, but Pepsi knows what the rule is. Yeah. If Pepsi sells them a 12-pack for $8, Walmart's selling it for $10, right? So that $2 markup's their standard for conversation's sake. So Walmart's selling $8 12-packs Pepsi selling these $8 12-packs around town to all the different grocery stores. Well, the Food City as a special are running for $9, and they know that is going to be cheaper than Walmart, and so they start raising their price to the Food City to force the Food City to get their price at least at the $10 that Walmart's paying or more.
Right.
Which I think is illegal. I think that's actually illegal. I think that's actually functionally collusion. That is Walmart and a supplier working hand in hand to handicap other retailers on behalf of a different one. But it's Walmart.
Good luck proving it.
Yeah. I mean, it's
So
not
that argument's
good
like,
luck
well,
proving it. It's
Walmart's
provable.
buying so much more, so we give them a better deal because they're buying a larger bulk.
Right. But the problem is that the paper trail says you're not giving them a better deal. You're giving them the deal you want as Pepsi, and you're just charging more to everybody else so that Walmart can be the best deal in town.
Yeah. I started seeing commercials for, I think it's like an IGA Save-A-Lot or something. It was an odd concept in that their prices on the shelf are their wholesale prices. And then when you go up to the counter, it's 10% higher, basically.
That's the Mark Cuban pharmacy. Have you seen that thing? It's an online pharmacy. It's
I've
literally
had one for a couple of years or whatever.
it's like cost plus 5% or something like that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what your insurance says. Nothing. No, the only thing that matters is what we pay for it, and you pay 5% over that.
Yeah. I've heard it's done pretty well.
I mean, it's an interesting concept. The problem is that it's like, well, duh. At some level, and maybe that's not fair because I'm in it for different things, and it makes sense to me. You know, for the retailer, like Walmart excluded, Amazon excluded, Target excluded, maybe not even Target excluded. For most retailers, especially a mom and pop retailer, they ain't making a lot of money, no matter how you cut it.
Yeah.
They're not making a ton of money. And so the price they put on the shelf is the best price that they think they can get away with. It doesn't matter what they paid for it. If you want to argue with them about that kind of stuff, you're just going to have to pay them more. It's just the way it is. And so, like, the idea that, like, I get it, especially as a semi-large brand that is this UGO or whatever it is, as a semi-large brand to kind of combat the, hey, we're not the greedy ones here. That's what they're trying to, I mean, that's really what they're trying to do. It's like, we're not the greedy bastards out here trying to steal money from you and take you for everything we can take you for. We're just trying to do enough to stay functional.
Yeah.
And this is our proof. This is us proving it. And it's like, well, a Butler and Bailey, a little mom and pop, you know, that's what they're doing every day anyway. Just because they're not being as transparent about it, it's the same thing. They're scraping by.
Yeah.
Because Walmart's never going to tell you the truth on that. And so you have no comparison. And what's it matter? You know, what's it matter what you paid for it? Maybe you paid more than I'm going to pay for it myself if I buy it at Walmart. That's the problem with it. It's like, oh, you got $10 wholesale, so you mark it up 10%. I pay $11. I get that. That makes logical sense. Right. I can just go. I can go buy it for $9 at. I can go buy it for $9 at Walmart right now. So what's the difference? Who cares?
I mean, I'd say there's a handful of products at a place like Walmart or big box store that they can sell a few things at a loss because they can
do
make
all
it
the
up.
time.
Right.
Kroger does it. That's one of the things I learned
saying
in the
earlier that nothing at Walmart is they're not taking a loss on anything.
No, I would think there's not a lot.
Right. No, yeah, I don't think there's a lot. But there's definitely some products.
But like Kroger's, like, because there are laws on beer.
Right.
And Kroger will do it every once in a while. They'll sell a 24-pack of Bud Light at or right below cost. And so, like, right now, I don't remember exactly what it is, right? Many, many moons ago, when I was still with Pine House and that kind of stuff, I believe it was right around 19-something. 1980-something for a 24-pack of Bud Light long neck bottles. 6x4-pack. Or 4x6-pack, excuse me. So a case of 4 6-packs of Bud Light bottles was 1980-something. Wholesale. And so that would be a $4.99, $4.98 6-pack of a 6-pack bottles in that case. And it was not in often that Kroger would do like a $5 flat or a $4.50 6-pack of Bud Light because they want you to come in and grab that 6-pack of Bud Light and a frozen pizza.
Right.
And I mean, that's good. I'm glad that's good. That's good competitive practices. But the only reason that's good competitive practices is because the state interferes and basically there's price fixing in beer where the wholesale price is fixed.
Right.
There's no amount. Kroger can buy all the beer they want. Walmart can buy all the beer they want. And my little mom and pop can buy all the beer I want. We're paying the same per case. Which is not really in your best interest as a consumer because then none of us have any incentive to really play those price games.
I think to an extent, I mean, it's preventing price gouging. If you were in like a limited market, you can't have a place that just jacks it up. Or a distributor that jacks it up because they've got to take it out an extra 20 miles.
The reason they do it is because we have an exclusivity standard in the state of Tennessee that distributors don't overlap. And it's a way to keep these distributors from price gouging because nobody else sells Bud Light.
Right.
Except for Eagle in Knoxville. You can't get Bud Light except through Eagle in Knoxville. So if you've ever been in an accident with an Eagle delivery truck out on the street and you're mad at Eagle, I don't care if you're anywhere in the state of Tennessee, Eagle, I think it's all 5 regions, Eagle is the same company that distributes Bud Light in the entire state of Tennessee. So if you like Bud Light but you hate Eagle, you're going to pay Eagle for your Bud Light no matter what you do. Because I actually think Eagle Distributing has some of the ownership group that owns Eagle Distributing is also part of the AB InBev family. Huh. So the parent company of Bud Light is also the same people that own Eagle. It's a weird little, I mean, there's a whole bunch of weird little isms of like these different entities that own parts and pieces of each other.
Right. Well, they call it some kind of like multi-level kind of like structure, like a ladder structure or something like that.
Corporate incest is what I like to call it. I mean, it's what it is. I mean, it's really it's what it is. They own like at the craft beer revolution, you had this. There was 2 programs at the craft beer revolution. There's 2 different models that the big players in the beer game did during the craft beer revolutions. There was the buy and kill, or the buy and copy is probably more accurate. So like Wicked Weed, for example, in Asheville, AB InBev bought Wicked Weed. Took the head brewer, took him to Colorado and took him to Chicago and took him to all their different major whatevers. He taught everybody in the world how to make Wicked Weed products to their standard. Now, on the surface, you go to Wicked Weed in Nashville, it's the same brew pub, it's the same cool little vibey place that it was. And the guy that owns the company got paid a good $1 jillion. And now Anheuser
recipe basically.
Right. Yeah. And now Anheuser-Busch brews their beers and they distribute it all over the world. Or there's the distributor model where it's like, I don't care who you are. You cut me a deal, I'll sell your beer around whatever. Which it's the more natural version of it. It's the more fun version of it, but it's also the more ridiculous version of it because then it becomes a who's got more money game, which is fine, I guess, but it's still it's depressing. It's how you get a company like Yeehaw, which doesn't make great beer, being one of the most popular beers in East Tennessee because they market better than anybody else does. Like Zool is a much more grassroots, real, like, holy shit, this is something different and new. People are into it. I don't get it at all. I don't like any of their beers particularly special. I get it in the logical, like, oh, they do something completely different. Nobody does beer like they do beer. That's exciting. I don't enjoy any of them, but I think it's cool that they do what they do.
Right.
And they've
part of their marketing, or I guess part of their marketing ideas. They don't want to just brew a Pilsner and a red.
Right, and they do, and they've got an IPA that's okay. And I like my IPAs because I'm a basic white
stuck
bitch.
to pretty specialized beers.
But most of their stuff that people get super like, it's not most of their stuff. It's 1.5 beers. It's the PB&J and the strawberry PB&J. That's all anybody wants out of them. But then they do all these other weird stuff. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But they bought. I think they bought Wiseacre in Memphis, and they bought New Heights out of Nashville. So now they have 7 breweries. Like sites that they're brewing at and distributing statewide, yet you still can't buy a can of PB&J to save your life. That is the brilliance of the guys at Zool. They figured that thing out. You can go anywhere. You can go anywhere in town, Every bar and restaurant, any bar and restaurant you want to go to, talk up their manager. They can have PB&J on tap. No problem. Try to get a 4-pack of cans to go home with? Nope. You can get up like once every 3 months at 2 a.m. on a Saturday morning and go sit in their parking lot until 7 a.m. when they start selling them. And you can buy one case before the 5 pallets that they made get sold out. But you can't buy a can of that shit to save your life.
Yeah.
I can't get it really hurt my feelings. The guy's name's Seth, so I figured he'd be cool. He is cool, to be fair. But I figured it'd be cool. It's like, hey, I'm going on my this family reunion here in a couple weeks. My sister and brother-in-law are flying in from Colorado. My parents are going to be there. My brother from up the street's going to be there, all this kind of stuff. Can I just get a 4-pack? Like two PB&Js and 2 strawberry PB&Js to take and share with my family on this family reunion coming up. Because I sell a lot of your product for you because my customers like your product. And like if it's available in the market, we have it. I mean, that's the rule at the North Store. Mm-hmm. Like if you like Zool products, go to my North Store, 603 East Embry Road, Suite 108, Powell, Tennessee, 37849. If you like Zool products, you can go up there. If you're in North Knoxville Halls or whatever, and you don't want to drive all the way down to the brewery or whatever, we have all their beer if it's available. Whatever's available, we have at least a case of it all the time. Anyway, so and when we had that, we've had a good relationship with them for a while. And I'm just like, hey man, I'm going to this thing. Can I get just a 4-pack? Just 2 and 2. No. No. Just no. It's like, I'm trying to share your beer with friends and family from around the world. Well, around the country.
Right. But they're not going to turn into customers.
They might, my sister's from Fort Collins. Like those people don't fuck around with their beer up there. They know what they're talking about.
Right, but they don't have the ability to be one of their steady customers. Zool Gaines, they don't have that potential of any kind of like.
I don't know. You go back to if you're Zool and you're like, oh well, I could send somebody back to. I don't know. I would say maybe. Let me think here. Yeah, I would say Fort Collins is probably top 5 in the craft beer cities of note.
Yeah,
maybe even higher than that. What would you think?
I couldn't say.
I think like the tip top of the craft beer revolution to me is Lagunitas out of what, Palo Alto?
I'm not sure.
Somewhere in California.
Yeah.
Sierra Nevada, also California. Terrapin out of Athens, Georgia. Samuel Adams, the king, the number 1A in the craft beer market, Boston. And then I would think New Belgium. Like top 5 biggest craft beer brands. I can't think of anything bigger than that. So I'm telling you, I can send somebody back to the home of New Belgium Brewery, which they have one in Nashville now too, but the home, who actually has done, my sister's done some work with New Belgium in her side hustle. Also the home of Otterbox, if you're into phone cases and shit. Otterbox operates out of Fort Collins, Colorado.
Okay.
Anyway, random side notes.
Sweetwater bigger than or
Sweetwater's a good one out of Atlanta. I would get that. That's not bad. That's not a bad one on the list. I still think. I mean, I don't know. Top 5 in the history of craft beers. Top 5 in the history of craft beers. I might take Terrapin out and put Sweetwater in place of it. I think honestly, Boston Brewing Company is number 1 by a mile. Boston Brewing Company changed the game. They were the original. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Blue Moon would be up there too. Boston Brewing Company, Blue Moon, New Belgium, Lagunitas, Sierra Nevada. Those would be my top 5 in the history of, like, in the national, what's the word I want to look for here? The OGs of the craft beer revolution that took national spotlight. Those would be my 5.
Yeah.
And honestly, as of late, Lagunitas has been very meh. But
I never was big into them.
I mean, to me, when like
Shiner, if they started out smaller, assuming they're owned by one of the.
I think Shiner was an InBev product from the beginning.
Was it?
Shock Top was. Shock Top was an absolute 100% recipe theft from Blue Moon
Yeah.
that Budweiser made. It was one of my favorite nights of being a bar manager ever when I was at Pine House. Was we had Shock Top on draft for a long time. That was like, because we had like 20 handles there. Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light, Ultra, Natty Light, but we called it like, I think it was Tailgate. It was some sort of football reference, fake branding, but it was Natty Light. But then we had Woodchuck, which is one of the original ciders in the land, which is a very good cider. We had Guinness, but we got Shock Top. I let my Eagle rep talk me into Shock Top. I didn't really give a shit about Blue Moon. I didn't really understand any of the craft beers at that point in my career. I didn't really see the value in it, but people were kind of starting to talk about it. It's like, well, we don't have Blue Moon, but we got Shock Top, and people are like, cool. And I had a guy sitting there. He's like, these Shock Tops are great. I love this stuff. It's cool. Who makes this? I was like, I don't know, to be honest with you. It's we get it from Eagle, but that doesn't mean anything. And I end up talking to the rep about it, and I report back to this guy later. It's like, hey man, you asked me that question. I had to know the answer, so I looked it up. And it's actually Anheuser-Busch makes it.
Yeah.
He said, what? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm never going to drink that shit again. It's like, okay. And then about a month later, we changed to Blue Moon, which subsequently Molson Coors owns Blue Moon as well now. But Blue Moon was truly like Golden, Colorado. Was it Golden, Colorado? Somewhere outside of Denver. It was just like a micro. Some dude that was into German Heffies had started brewing this Blue Moon, and when the Rockies franchise, when the MLB expanded and added the Colorado Rockies, he had enough local clout and marketing money that he paid a ton of money to be the official beer of the Colorado Rockies, and they had it on tap at the stadium and all that kind of stuff. And that's what kicked him from being known around Denver to being a world brand.
I remember a story years ago that was about, I want to say it was a baseball stadium somewhere up in the Northeast, that Shock Top was one of the ones they pointed out. I guess at the stadium they had like a craft beer kind of like, vendor or whatever. But I guess it was after Anheuser-Busch or whoever bought Shock Top. There was enough people that were like, hey, that's not craft beer.
It's not craft beer. It never was. It was created by Budweiser.
Okay, there were some other companies as well, I guess, that they were marketing as like quote-unquote craft beers.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, like every single ones you're selling as quote-unquote craft beers like aren't considered what most people would assume are craft beers. Smaller companies, not necessarily small batch, but not a major conglomerately owned
but if you're
produced beer.
If you're going to get into that thing, you're going to have to get into that thing. Man, we got all over the place. So just off of Lafferty and Zachary and the update on the Bolsa Bills. The Heroes Hill, did you see that story?
No.
Kind of exciting. I think this is cool. So it's a piece of land over there by the Juvenile Detention Center, because that's a cool place in town that everybody wants to be around. The Pellissippi campus is over there, the Tennessee School of Applied Technology, Young Williams Animal Center, all that kind of stuff, that area over there between Sutherland and Middlebrook. Yeah. Between Sutherland and the interstate, basically, is a better way to put it. Heroes Hill is, I can't remember how many total units, but it's a multi-tiny home. Like, it's just a piece of property that they're going to build a bunch of tiny homes on, and it's for homeless vets. I kind of resent the vets part about it. Just some homeless housing first model is great. That's the correct way to deal with homeless people. Right. But if we, I think they, one of the groups estimates of the however many vets however many homeless we have in Knox County that are running around the city and the county areas, about 150 or so of them are veterans of some way, shape, or form. This place should cover most of them and get them someplace to be.
Right.
And hey, maybe Richard Bean Center can hire a couple of them as guards and they can get to work.
That'd be good, yeah.
Send them over to the animal shelter. They can help out with the Knox County Animal Control. There's options and there's places and there's stuff like that. But the cool part about that one, I don't know. Actually, I have mixed feelings on this part of it. Knox County students are going to be doing most of the labor for free.
That's it. They're having built it.
Mm-hmm. Knox County schools in the trades and craft trade. I can't remember exactly what the title of the program is. Basically, students that are learning how to be carpenters and electricians through the vocational students in Knox County high schools are going to go over there and build tiny homes. And like real contractors and county and city engineering and public works and all those kind of people and building inspectors are going to oversee these kids. The kids aren't just going to fucking build them and walk away. And real contract company, like major contractors are committing a supervisor basically to come and oversee the construction, but the kids are going to do the labor for free.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of issue with that. Like, it's cool, it's smart, I get it. The combination of things, like, all of it's really great. These kids are getting education credit for it, but it's like, if you're a fucking contractor in town, I'd be kind of pissed off. Like, if I could build one of those. I could build a handful of those. You want me to build you 50 units? I could build those in a weekend. Get my team out there, we can knock those out for you. Well, this is what it would cost.
I mean, if it was multiple projects, I could see that.
I mean, well, the inverse
one
too.
project. So, I mean, it's not really. It'd just be like some other major company that would have gotten that contract. All those other companies that didn't get it and are going to feel that much more screwed over because they're having.
Well, you didn't get it because your bid sucked. Instead of you didn't get it because you bid because your bid included pay. Where Knox County Schools is going to build it for you for free. Again, I mean, it's not the worst of things. It's used like, it's good experience for the kids, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's a needed product that needs to be available to the people that need it. I get the parts pieces. I don't know. Like inmates get paid to go clean up roadsides.
They get paid.
I'm pretty sure.
Whatever. Like the DUI people have to do it. They don't get paid for it.
Well,
it's like part of their community service.
Yeah.
I saw some crazy case where people got assigned community service, or you could buy off those hours, basically.
Inmate labor has become a talking point issue of it's pretty damn close to slavery.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Get paid like $1.17 an hour or something like that.
But we're going to take some kids who need this education and still that labor, and that's okay. I know it feels like wage theft to me. These kids should be getting paid. I don't care if it's an educational experience. They're doing work for somebody's benefit that somebody else would charge money for. That's the argument for why inmate labor should get paid. It's like, well, if you didn't have them do it for free, you'd be paying somebody else to do this, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, then you should fucking pay them. Pay them a discounted rate, sure. But pay them a decent rate. I mean, pay them a reasonable rate, but not as much as you would pay for a third-party person. Okay, I can get behind that. And to be fair, on the contractor side of it, most Knox County contractors are busy enough that they don't give a shit. They got enough stuff going on.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of projects right now. If you know how to build some shit, you're working. So, but I don't know. It's interesting. It's a Mayor Jacobs thing. He's very excited about it. Marshall Blackburn's very excited about it. Timmy Burchett's very excited about it. We hate our homeless people unless they're vets.
Right.
We love our homeless vets, but we hate homeless.
I mean, I wouldn't put a number on it, but there's a decent, chunk of homeless people that are.
They say it's about 150 in the Knox County population.
Right.
I don't know what the total population is. I want to say it's like 10%, 15%, maybe 20%.
Okay.
It's a decent number.
Maybe more, yeah.
It's a notable sum of the total. And I mean, hell, if it works out and we get all 150 of our veterans that are homeless in Knox County, if we can get them off the street, it'll be noticeable that they're off the street.
Yeah.
And so that's a start. And that gets them out of CARM, that gets them out of the other services centers, so those service centers can get some more other people off the street too. So can't get mad about it. But it's weird because just on the I didn't say it, but the Scott and Jesse were talking about it on the Compass show today, and I was like, I almost did my whole the new definition of insanity thing that I've been ranting and raving about.
Yeah.
Because they were both kind of doing they have this way of I don't know how to word it. They have this kind of way of dancing around, saying what they're trying to say and not saying it. But basically, finally, Scott in his using big boy words brought up the duality of the conservative stance on homelessness. They really don't give a shit about homeless people. But they do care about veterans, and so if the homeless are actually veterans, then they actually care about them.
Yeah.
And it's it seems a little the duality of that situation. It's no, philosophical consistency is a fallacy. It's never going to happen. You either hate homeless people or you don't. you care about them and you want to do, because like it's the housing first model. That's one of the things that a lot of these Tennessee teachers and other random loony leftists that are out there, that's one of the pushes that they always say on the homeless situation. It's housing first. Get these people in a place, put a roof over their head, and then we'll figure out the other problems.
Right.
If it's an addiction issue, if it's a mental health issue, we'll figure them out. But first, get them off the street.
Right.
That's the solution, and that seems to be the one that bears out best statistically. Like the data shows that get them off the street, get them somewhere to stay, and then all these other things, and we start fixing them, and then we can get these people back on a path to being good citizens.
I think it makes sense. I mean, if you give them a stable living situation, they are able to, go out and get a job. They fill in an application and they've got an address they can put down.
Yeah, and especially if it's a situation where you got there's some sort of services available at the location that you have a little bit of help and backup.
Right.
Hey man, you having some problems? What do you need? We're here. What do you need? Yeah. We're here. And so basically you're gonna have this community tiny home village. Could get interesting. We're an open carry state. Got a bunch of veterans. Have a lot of probably have a lot of mental health issues running around. It could turn out very poorly.
Right.
Oh shit!
But I wonder if that's going to add on to kind of like VA costs, because I'd say they're out on the streets, so they're not going to the VA, but now they've got a home. Now are they going to decide they want to start going to the VA, which they should be well
maybe if the VA is
to.
smart, they get a mobile like a mobile clinic, and they come down to the site every once in a while.
Yeah, be smart.
And save the bus cost, and save this cost, and save that cost. Like again, this is one of those things I get myself in trouble rhetorically in short term that I want to clarify for any of you out there that are reviewing this in 2026 when I'm running for the city of Knoxville mayor's office or whatever it is I run for. I hate that vets exist. I don't hate vets. I think that is an important distinction, and I should say it more often. I hate that vets exist. I hate. If I want to get myself in a little bit of trouble, I hate how we treat vets as a society. Like I don't think they should be celebrated as people. I don't think we should be like, oh, thanks for your service, man. I really don't like that. Now, World War II vets, maybe I can get behind, being supportive of them as vets, because at the end of the day, as fucked up as the whole situation was and what got the U.S. in and all that stuff, defeating the Nazis was a good cause. Defeating the Viet Cong was not a good cause. Defeating communism was not a good cause. Defeating the Taliban was not a good cause. Defeating Saddam Hussein was not a good cause.
Right.
And I'm not mad at you for making that life choice. Good for you. If that's what you needed to do to get out of the situation that you were in, and that was your ticket out of your bad life as a kid, and that was a way for you to get out and get an education, move on with your life, good. I'm happy for you. But I'm also, I personally, I don't feel like congratulating you for that decision. There's other ways you could go on about getting out of the shit situation in your life. And I don't feel like you should automatically just get a pat on the back. But that's anybody to me. Like, nobody should get a fucking pat on the back for making a life choice. It's a life choice. If you made a life choice, good for you.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be beholden to any of that because, like, you shouldn't be a vet. That's part of the problem with it too. Like, you shouldn't become a veteran. Yeah, you went in and you served in our armed forces, but you didn't do anything because we don't have anything going on that's worth doing. That's different. You went to Afghanistan, you went to Iraq, you went to, you were in a part of Desert Storm. I commend you for making the commitment and doing the job. 100%. I appreciate your willingness to do so. I hate that you were a veteran because of it. I hate that you exist as a veteran because you went out and saw the worst that is of humanity, that is war, for no good reason. I hate that. I would much rather you not exist as a veteran. I would have preferred, if I had a choice, that you didn't make that decision. And that enough people didn't make that decision that maybe going to war was a bigger concern because you don't have bodies just to throw at it as the Department of War. And because if they started drafting, if they had a draft for Desert Storm, if they had a draft for Iraqi freedom, you think that was going to happen? You think they would have pulled that shit off? I don't think so. I don't think Daddy Bush or Bush Jr. for that was going to go regime change Saddam Hussein if he had to draft to get it done. There's no fucking way. Even with 9/11, there's no fucking way.
Yeah, probably not.
That's
because at that time we had a large standing army. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, I wish we didn't and again, like just as a function of society, I don't like that we have, as a rule, to have this big of a standing army. You know, what do they say about, like, you know, if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? Have you ever heard that phrase?
I don't think so.
It's basically if you have the tool, you want to use it.
Right.
You have the largest standing army in the world. You want to use it. That's why we're on the doorstep of going to war with Iran. There's no functional value in going to war with Iran right now.
So to a certain level, to a certain extent, they try to use that as a deterrent. It's like, don't mess with us because we have this many missiles. You know, it kind of goes back to the kind of Cold War mentality.
I mean, but the equipment's one thing, but the bodies is what we're talking about. Just the bodies.
Right. I'm saying that I think that's not exactly the same, but it's not too dissimilar in that we have the ability, because we have this large, you know, we have the largest Navy and we have this large Army.
Right, which apparently like a couple hundred $20 drones can wreak havoc on our carrier groups. That's one of the big concerns out of the Pentagon right now.
Possibly, I don't think so.
No, yeah, it's a big concern. Like, that's one of the biggest concerns, because it fucks up all functional operations on these carrier groups. Send a couple hundred of these little cheap ass drones out in this drone. It's swarm drone technology. It's basically AI that's controlling. Like, it's basically one person controls like 100, 200 drones in a swarm.
Right.
That they're all flying together, but they're not like tightly packed. They're all moving around kind of randomly, so they're hard to shoot down. They're hard to get rid of. We just pack them with a couple pounds of whatever that blows up, and you go land them on an aircraft carrier deck. Or
I think there's enough defenses with that carrier group.
But the difference being is that if a couple hundred of these drones will do millions of dollars of damage to a carrier group, and only costs a couple $100 to pull off.
Right.
That's the functional difference. That's the problem with our armed forces at large right now. They're amazing. They're super cool and technologically neat and all that kind of stuff. But, like, I mean, think about the Houthis in Yemen? Kept fucking blowing ships up and...
Right, they were going against oil tankers that have no defense.
Right, but they're getting escorts and stuff like that. They're beating the escorts and stuff like that.
All right.
Yeah. Like, we've been putting... the better way on the Houthis ones is we've been dropping $1 million bombs into their camps and shit like that.
Right.
And they're fucking with world trade with $20 drones. And AKs off the black market and that kind of shit.
Going after soft targets.
That's fine, but they are having a real functional tactical effect on the world with the cheapest, worst shit on the planet, and we, with the most expensive, technologically advanced shit, can't stop them. And that's the thing to me. Like, when you get to scale on some of these things, it's very problematic. If you get somebody that's smart and sophisticated and uses the cheap shit wisely, I mean, that was Osama bin Laden to a T. His whole thing. Did you ever read his what is it called?
His manifesto.
Yeah. Did you ever see his manifesto?
I've heard about it. I don't think I've read it.
I mean, it's essentially like the long and short of it is, I'm going to bait these idiots into a big war that's going to cost them billions and trillions of dollars, and there will achieve nothing. I will die. He acknowledges the fact, like, they'll kill me, they'll kill a bunch of my friends, and we'll all die and that kind of shit. But at the end of the day, they're going to spend trillions of dollars and hundreds, if not thousands, of their guys' lives for nothing. And that's exactly what happened. Like, to a T. Like, he nailed it, 30 years before it happened, before he finally got murdered or whatever. He had already had it written out, and we played exactly to his book.
Right.
All right. Whew, we're all over the place. I love it. To make sure I cover the other one, Busa Bills. This is one of the things that's interesting to me. I think this is a rollover, and I think Trump is using this. This is local and national at the same time. Friends of the Smokies has started a new program and has gotten the funding through. Like people like the Boyds and other people like that are funding what they call Forever Places in the Smokies. I think it's a $9 million project annually, where maybe not $9 million, $9 million over the next 10 years. I can't remember exactly what the thing is. It's not cheap, but it's not super expensive. Basically, they're hiring 6 full-time trade craftsmen to go out and maintain, repair, fix, correct, clean, all that kind of stuff, all the different historical sites inside Smoky Mountain National Park.
I did something about that, yeah.
And so apparently there's 100 and something buildings. There's 100 and something buildings, old barns and stuff like that. So one of the things that's unique about the Great Smoky Mountains National Park is it is the only national park that has like a significant number of historic buildings as part of it. Most of the other national parks that have historic buildings as part of it, it's literally the building, like Martin Luther King's birthdays, the Lincoln House or whatever. Like you have these very specific historical buildings that are their own national park,
right?
But all of your Western natural parks, natural national parks out there, Yellowstone, all that stuff. There's not some old homestead out there that's part of it. All those were made parks before they were occupied by Americans, quote unquote. And so you don't have like this 200-year-old farm way out in the corner of the park that when they took the park, when they created the park and stuff like that, became part of the park process. Smoky Mountains is the only one that has a lot of historic buildings as part of its park process.
Yeah.
Cades Cove, things like that. And so basically, they've got 6 full-time employees that are master craftsmen in historical structures that are going out there and maintaining and keeping all these buildings up and accessible to tourists and kind of stuff like that. Which, to go back to my Trump part of it, is I think it was an interesting thing with the shutdown. Then I think I said it at the time. It's like, I think my fear in this, and especially with the Smoky Mountains, because the Friends of the Smokies they paid all that money to keep the parks open and keep the bathrooms and all that kind of shit going. Remember talking about that?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're kind of handing Trump the idea that the federal government doesn't need to fund this because you guys are going to fund it for him. And this is another step in that. It's like, which I'm not opposed to, actually. I think that would be a fair way to do it. I don't dislike the idea of having some level of a public-private partnership on a lot of these national parks being the core of how they get funded instead of it being an automatic tax dollar thing out of the federal budget. But this is where we are, and I think it's a cool thing that's getting done. I support it, don't get me wrong, but that being said, if we didn't give, ICE $70 billion or whatever it is, and we didn't have the Department of War with its $1 trillion budget or whatever, I would prefer that money go to Great Smoky Mountain National Parks and stuff like that. Yeah. On a standard level, that the Park Service was actually funded well in and of itself, instead of funding things like murdering people around the world. That would be my preference. But at the same time, it would be nice to kind of have the system built as being some very basic functional budget comes from the federal government, but the more unique specific stuff comes from the local entities that are the ones that are really benefiting off of it. Because like when the Friends of the Smokies, some of their major benefactors that are paying into the Friends of the Smokies are Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, Sevierville businesses, especially all the touristy shit down there. Right. That part of the reason they exist. People stay in their cabins and hotels. People go to their store. People eat there at their restaurant is because they're in town to go see and go visit Smoky Mountains.
Right.
So it's like, it makes sense to me. Like, I don't see a problem with that. I think that's good. Except for it's the question of what are we paying instead of paying for this stuff out of our federal budget? And that's when I'm like, well, that sucks too. But yeah, that's happening. Another new property is going in. A new development's going in just over the train tracks from the old city, which is cool. The neat one is. The neat one for me is that there's a there's a position in the city of Knoxville that was like their downtown coordinator. And it was just kind of a full-time job of hanging out, talking to people, figuring out people that live there, businesses that operate down there, that kind of stuff. Chatting them up and figuring out what they need help with, how they need to figure this kind of stuff out. And apparently it started in the Ragsdale administration. Ragsdale started it. Ragsdale hired a guy. That guy worked up until about a year and a half ago. He retired. And I don't know if Kincannon just wasn't sure if they wanted to replace the position or just let the position go. But they've decided to rehire for the position. So they had one of the other employees of the city kind of working that position over the last year and some change. But they've now hired a lady to be in that position. And as part of the reinstatement of that position, they are expanding the definition of downtown to get a little bit further north, a little bit further south, and a little bit further west. So basically, they're adding Cumberland, Sevier Avenue, and a little bit north of 40 in the train tracks. Which I'm not sure what that definition is going to be. I need to make a phone call. I did hang out with my boy, Matt DeBartlebaden this week. I need to touch base with him and be like, hey, we're included in that new expanded circle of downtown, right? Because the West family's trying to get Open Container on Market Square, which I also told Matt, it's like, that's fine. You can vote for that as long as we get access to that in some way, shape, or form up here too. Not sure how we would do it exactly, but I don't mind the idea.
Because, I mean, Market Square it's not necessarily enclosed, but it's more of a, you don't have a street running through the middle of it.
I mean, I don't know. You walk down the strip in Vegas, and that's like a 6-lane highway.
Right.
And you walk down that street with a beer.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, honestly, like, part of it's like, I mean, I mean, again, I get it because it's like, because at the end of the day, like, if you're Press Pub, if we're in Press Pub and we're watching a band, hanging out, having a good time, we're like, hey, let's get out of here. Let's go see what's going on in Scruffy City. It's like, okay, cool. And so we just walk out the door. That'd be great. I'd love the idea of just we can walk out the door, walk across Market Square, down to this other place. Well, when we get over to Scruffy City, we're not walking. They're not going to let us in with beer.
True.
Not because they aren't allowed to or anything like that. They're just not going to do it. They're going to say, no, you can finish that out there, and then when you come in, you can get a new beer when you get inside.
Right. Please go take the
right.
pint glass back to the other place.
Right. And so it's a question of like, what are we doing? You know, because so realistically, that's all you're going to get. If there's a particular event going on, which that's to me, like, I think that's what the game is. I think what the pitch here is, like, when we have an event going on in Market Square, whether it's a concert on the stage down there, farmers market, whatever, we as the businesses that are surrounding it don't get a lot of activity because nobody wants to come in here and sit down and have a beer, finish their beer, and then go back out and keep shopping.
Yeah.
Or if we have a concert down here and there's somebody on stage doing a thing, our patio is going to be full. And those people are going to hang out and drink, but inside, nobody's going to be inside. And nobody's going to come inside, sit out inside, have a beer, and then go back out and rejoin the concert. Why can't they just come in and get a beer and then go out and continue drinking their beer while they're enjoying the concert? We'll do plastic beer, whatever, like stuff like that. That'll give us more action as the businesses down here, and I don't oppose that. And that would be my argument for it too. So for us at Hollaroo, we're allowed to have Open Container at Hollaroo. When we have an event going on in the public space, we're allowed to use the public space with Open Container.
Right.
I'm on board with that.
When you have it closed off.
Right. Even if we don't have it closed off, as long as there's some event, something going on with it. Because I mean, I really, like I said, I don't hate the idea. Like, one of the things we've been asking for years is trash cans down there. It's like, give us some trash cans. I'm not going to let anybody leave with my glasses, but if they want to take a canned beer out the door with them, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're going to go over across the street. We're going to go over to Flats Taps and catch up with some friends over there. Cool. Have a great night. Appreciate y'all. And they can walk outside, and while they're walking over there, they can finish the beer they have. I don't see a problem with that, personally. But I don't know. We'll see what the ordinance frames up to be as it's doing a thing. But we'll see also what this new downtown coordinator does, and if she reaches out to me or not, I'll let you guys know. I'm interested. I'm curious. I like the idea. I would like to be considered part of downtown. I like calling this near north downtown, or north near downtown. Like I like to differentiate because it is. Like I think realistically, 40 is the line. Like I think realistically, like when you're thinking downtown Knoxville, you're thinking from the river to Interstate 40, and then from the Civic. I don't even know if you count Civic. Would you count? I don't know. From the Civic to campus. Like, that's downtown Knoxville to me.
Civic's right there on the edge of being...
Right. I mean, the new baseball stadium, the new baseball stadium's right on the edge to me. It's on the other, like, James White Parkway is, my head says 40 James White Parkway is the north and east edges. But then you have the stadium just on the other side, and then you have Civic just on the other side.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, well... If it touches James White Parkway, it's part of downtown, whether it's inside or outside of James White Parkway. But then the river, obviously. But, you know, like the city's been trying really hard to get South Knoxville, and so they're including Sevier Avenue down there, which, I don't know. I haven't been down there in a couple of years. I need to go check it out.
Yeah, I haven't been down there in a while.
I'm so mad, but we would be down there. We would be down there and not in Happy Holler.
They didn't want you.
Yeah, because the two buildings that had room that we were interested in moving our business into said, we don't want your kind. Literally.
Right.
Well, maybe not literally. Pretty close to literally. We're not comfortable with your type of business in our building. We don't want that type of business in our building. Was what I was quote told, like not inferred. And it would have been an issue. It would have been interesting because the Highwire building was the one I really liked. And there's a restaurant downstairs in the street level on Sevier Avenue that is literally across Barber, which is hilarious. It would have been perfect. It's literally Sevier Avenue and Barber Street. And that intersection is where the Highwire Brewery is, or the Highwire Taproom is, and across that intersection diagonally is an elementary school.
Yeah.
Which would have been a little bit of a problem for me, or for us.
Exactly.
But the other building down there was a more traditional strip mall. It had like 6 units in it, and it was all the way on the other end. We would have had no proximity issues with them. And they were like, just, no, we don't want you. And I was like, that's cool. So that's why I put all my love and attention and energy into Happy Hour.
Because that's kind of their commercial right.
It is. But they're missing out because now I'm spending like all this effort, all this stuff that I'm doing for Happy Holler and making the Happy Holler business organization, all that stuff.
Been doing it for them.
I could have been doing it down there. And I would have been a cog for them instead of the kingpin that I am here. Because Sevier Avenue already had some stuff going on. I mean, they already had some stuff going on.
Right.
I wouldn't have been building it from scratch. I would have been joining a thing that existed where I started this one.
I wonder how much the Gay Street issue, or the Gay Street Bridge issue,
is a big issue.
Slowed them down.
Big issue. I don't know. I don't know if you could count the number. I don't know if anybody's trying to count, has any numbers on what it means, but it's a huge problem for them. Because it goes both ways. Because it used to be one of the things that what a friend of mine was talking about that's down there, that lives down there. So, well, it used to be like we'd go hang out at Trailhead or one of the different places down there, and just hop across and go across the bridge to go down to a concert at Tennessee Theater or something like that.
Yeah,
or go hang out in Market Square or something like that. Like they basically he more or less said we'd pregame or we'd meet up down here, have a beer, go down to the thing, and then come back and finish the night back here because that's where we started.
Yeah.
And so now it's like a much more big, longer way around kind of thing, and it's like instead of like one of us driving, all five of us, all of us piling into one car and going and parking downtown to go to the concert, we're now just all five driving and parking down at the concert venue.
Or ride sharing.
Or whatever, right, or getting an Uber or whatever instead of us riding together. So, the parking garage and rideshare people are good with it.
Yeah. Did you see another one of Zachary's bills that got introduced regarding property tax?
No, I don't know. Like I've heard parts and pieces that tried to. I thought we already had a Tennessee State Constitution already says we can't have property tax. State property tax.
Right. This is limiting increasing property tax.
Go fuck yourself. Get out of here. What are you doing? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I want to say, if I remember correctly, that if the city or county wants to go above 3%, they have to have some kind of vote on it. But if they don't do more than 3% in like 2 or 3 consecutive years, they could do a 6% increase on that third year. If they didn't raise property taxes in that first or second year.
Get out of here. What are you doing?
Greater than 3%.
Stupid. Okay, so let's take
It's trying to limit localities from, and I guess they pointed to Nashville, that apparently they've gone up 15 to 20% in the past like 5 years or whatever.
Great. Good for them. Whatever. Who cares?
Right.
Like, I mean, there's already like the semi-local media is already running the narrative on behalf of Zachary or whomever, because there's already like 2 or 3 like the great anchor businesses that have been on Broadway in Nashville for years are concerned that they won't be able to afford to stay there if this property tax goes into place. They're not going to be able to afford to keep operating down there. Okay, that sucks. Fair enough. But the city of Nashville has an operating cost. They're obliged by the state of Tennessee, by law, to pay their fucking bills. And they have 2 ways to generate income to pay those bills. Local option sales tax, which is capped, which I'm pretty sure Nashville is already on the maximum local option sales tax. Because the maximum, as we went through right here in the city of Knoxville, we had the referendum on the ballot to go from 225 to 275, right?
Yeah.
The maximum, that would put us at the maximum at 275. You're only allowed to have 2.75% local option sales tax, maximum. So they're already there. So the only other way the city of Nashville makes any money to do all the things that the city of Nashville has to do, and we could argue that building a new fucking stadium for the football team and building a soccer stadium and building a, what else did they build? Bridgestone, and helping finance an upgrade to the Ryman or whatever, all the shit that they do.
Right.
We can argue whether or not those things are worth doing. But that's that government that those people elected. They have to pay their bills. And they only have 2 ways to make money. And now you're capping their ability to make money. But yet your state law says that they have to pay their fucking bills. Not to mention that your state house is in their city limits, which is a piece of property that they're not making sales tax on.
No, they're not going to make any money from the parking garage that was next to it.
Right,
That's Elon.
that you gave to Elon, which, well, they didn't make any money off of anyway.
Right.
But it's not, well, whatever. But I'm just saying, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this system is built. The state of Tennessee already requires that you are not allowed to default. Like, the city of Nashville cannot go bankrupt. It is obliged by the Constitution of the state of Tennessee that in the event that an imminent bankrupt is on the table, they have to raise taxes to offset it. It doesn't matter what the percentage is. Like, if they put themselves in a position where they need to raise property tax from 2 or 3% to 30% year over year so that they can pay off debt because they have to or they'll default,
Right.
They have to do it by law. So this, you can't, this bill should not be legal that Zachary is introducing, because they have to by state law already, unless it's going to go and change the Constitution of the state of Tennessee to void that thing off. Because again, it'd be mismanagement at that point, 100%, for Nashville to get into a situation where they would need to raise taxes that much that quickly. It would be a very poor leadership, but it would be stuff like we're dealing with in Knox County, where we have these weird loans that were taken out years ago. That administration set it up to have for that loan to be so back heavy that all their spending and all the stuff they did with that loan, everybody would have enjoyed, and it would have done its shelf life before the loan came due.
Right.
So everybody forgets what the loan's about, and all of a sudden it's due. Knox County has to pay that. Knox County's going to have to raise taxes, in my opinion, to be able to pay all this stuff off. Betsy Henderson is going to try to argue that we already have the money for it. We don't need to raise taxes to do it. And I'm curious to see her math. I've talked about this a number of times in the show. But if Zachary gets this thing passed, even if, like, what's Betsy supposed to do? Like, even if she gets her, like, even if she doesn't want to raise taxes, she has to. If Knox County is going to default, she has to, whether she promised to not raise taxes or not.
Right. Unless they cut some services.
She is obliged. No, she can't cut. There's certain things she can't cut. Can't cut school spending. Can't cut sheriff spending. We can stop building roads and repairing roads and stuff like that. She can cut park spending all she wants. But that's the problem with the math to me. The math, as I understand it, is even if you cut all the quote-unquote possible...
Fat.
Not fat, just possible things that you're allowed to cut. Not even... Not things that are arguably wasteful spending. I mean, literally, if you took Knox County's budget, $1.1 billion this year... 6 and some change that goes to the schools. 600 and some change million go to the schools. Like 300 and something million goes to the Knox County Sheriff's Office. 200 something million goes to the Knox County Sheriff's Office. That's $900 million of a $1.1 billion budget that's already accounted for and cannot change. Cannot go down. Okay, so that gives us $200 million. That's theoretically like tangible things that Knox County government can spend money on.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of money. Okay, stop building roads. Stop having parks. Sell the parks off. Sell county buildings off. Do whatever you can do. It's not going to pay. I don't know that that's enough just to pay the loans that we have to pay off in the next couple of years. I think our debt service in the next couple of years is in the $100 million range just to pay the loans off. Now, a couple of these, especially that weird old, tail balloon payment thing or whatever, once we pay it off, it's going to drop all the way off and things should kick back up on the other side. But no matter what, the law requires us to pay that to have taxes to pay that bill.
Yeah.
So we might have to raise tax either way. And so, the problem I have with the Zachary bill is not, I like the general premise of it. Yeah, I like the idea that said, hey, local municipalities, you can't raise your taxes super crazy, super fast. All right, that's a reasonable pitch. Except, Zachary, you already have a law in the books that says they have to pay their debt. They have to pay their bills. And so, if they have to raise it crazy fast to pay their bills, so which law do you want them to break? Because at some point, they're going to have to break one of these two laws. Which one? What's the punishment for breaking the law?
I don't know if they mentioned that.
You know what I'm saying? What happens? The state comes in and takes over?
Maybe that's their goal.
I mean, that's
essentially make Knoxville, Memphis, and Chattanooga, and Nashville all default, and then state gets to take it over. It's like, you've been mismanaging your funds. We now run your shit.
Sure, and they'll run their shit right into the fucking ground too, because the state budget doesn't have the room to fucking eat that either.
Right.
So they're going to be like, okay, well, we're going to pay this debt off. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to default on this. State governments can't run deficit budgets either. That's why, and that's one of the funny things, and this is one of the things that all of them do. Everybody does it. American Canyon did it coming out of the retreat last weekend. They brag about our bond rating as a city.
Yeah.
City of Knoxville's got a great bond rating. Yeah, you know why? Because we have 500,000 people that live in this, in and around this town, that at the end of the day, you are obliged by law to tax. Hey, I'm a bank. I'm gonna you want to borrow some money from me, City of Knoxville? Absolutely. How much you want? I mean, seriously, if you're a bank and the City of Knoxville comes to you and says, "I would like to borrow some money," yes, how much?
Right.
Because you know what's going to happen? You're going to pay me back. You know why? Because the state of Tennessee says you fucking have to. Mm-hmm. Of course you have a great fucking bond rating.
Congratulations for paying your bills.
You have to pay, you are obliged by law to pay your bills.
Right.
You can't go bankrupt on me. Not like the federal government. State of Tennessee is the same way. State of Tennessee is obliged by law to run a balanced budget. They cannot run a deficit. Yes, banks love local municipalities because they're gonna, if you're loaning the city of Knoxville, Knox County, if you loan them money, you're going to get your money back with interest.
Like most people, and they're going to pay minimum payments,
right?
Which stretches out the length of it, paying more into interest.
Yeah, And at the end of the day, like especially with government loans, it's like the people that took the loan, they're long gone before the loan matures.
Right.
So you're going to catch some flack on the other side, but it's like, look, man, take it up with that person.
That was
I don't
10
care.
years ago.
You guys
I'm retired.
You guys owe me. You owe me this money. You have to pay me this money. You're going to pay me this money.
Right.
Like if I would in a heartbeat. I missed the boat on it, and I feel really dumb about it. I wish I would have bought some of the bonds that they issued for the stadium.
There was a public auction for it?
I don't know.
Okay.
It should have been. If not, they should do that. They should do that on a lot of stuff. That would be a great way to do stuff. I would love that. That'd be an interesting way to kind of get people stuck. I hate taxes. I don't want to pay taxes. I don't want you guys to raise taxes around here. But I also have, $100,000 in bonds that the city of Knoxville is going to pay me back,
right,
with interest. And they need to raise taxes to pay that bond off that I own shares in. I guess I'm a little bit more on board with you guys raising taxes. Because I'm going to get my money back, and that's going to at least offset the taxes that you guys are adding to me. So that's a win. Get weird, bud.
All right, let's take it back to curling. Bagpipers play at Olympic curling in homage to sports Scottish heritage, but they're Italian.
The Bagpipers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I've met a lot of French horn players in my day, and they're not all from France.
I don't know if it was actually created in France. I don't know necessarily why they call it the French horn.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you're an organizer that's putting on all these events and stuff that are going on in and around the Olympics, I think the last thing I would want to do is import somebody to do a task if I don't have to. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you live around here and you do this cool random thing that I need to get done? Sweet. I don't have to pay for a hotel room for you that's going to be stupid expensive. I can pay you a reasonable rate for what you're doing for me, and we can move on with our lives. Cool. Bagpipes are fun. I kind of hate my neighbors. I'd like to learn the bagpipes. Yeah, apparently the rock that is the base of the stone or whatever only comes out of one quarry in Scotland. That's one very specific.
About that.
It's one very specific type of granite that is only mineable in Scotland.
The official ones.
Which I don't know if those are my people or not. I'm sure that some of them are my people. I know that I am. Like Max went to Scotland last summer, and for Christmas I got this little flask that I haven't gotten to use yet, but it's this little tiny, single shot flask, and it's wrapped in a little mini tartan. And he's like, I was trying to figure out what yours was if you had one when we were there, because they have catalogs that you can look through and it'll tell you all the family tartans.
Right. And
I was like, well, you could have got Glasgow. He's like, we were in Glasgow. I was like, yeah, but that's also my mom's family name. He's like, oh, I didn't know that. I was like, that's fine. It's my mom's maiden name. Why would you know my mom's maiden name?
So a bit of a guy that actually had one made.
I'm going out on a limb and guessing that there's some heritage on my mom's side of the family that is from Scotland, given the surname is, the world capital.
Yeah. This guy, I guess his family name wasn't in the registry of official recognized designs. He was actually able to go in and they gave him, 6 different versions of all right, do you want the stripes? Do you want this? Pick out your colors. And so he actually had one and created a tartan for his family, basically. Yeah, that cool. Was registered to make it an official tartan.
Well, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Can he trace heritage and just do this, but his heritage never had one?
I think one of his parents was from Africa, so he did a mix of one of the African country that one of his parents came from.
Interesting. I just feel like, if you're going to do it, I don't know, whatever. It's cool.
Maybe one or both of his grandparents were immigrants at some point. I guess his last name at this point, I guess there's no Scottish heritage of it. So he basically created it.
Well, it's Ellis Island really screwed it up for a lot of people because
I don't know. This guy still lives in Scotland.
I don't know what you're saying. So I'm just going to call you this, and this is
Yeah,
your
that was
new
good.
official last name.
Smith Jones. Yep.
What do you do for a living? Cool. Harper. Harper it is.
Let's see here. We got Osaka City stunned by anonymous gold bar gift worth $3.6 million to fix aging water pipes.
Gold bars in water pipes? What?
Somebody donated a gold bar worth $3.6 million.
Oh, shit.
And an anonymous gold bar gift
What?
given to the city to fix aging water pipes.
Yeah, I heard...
I guess that the anonymous donor asking for its specific use to fix the city's dilapidated water pipes.
well, you don't get to be anonymous and demand what gets done with your money. That's not fair.
Apparently they can.
I mean, inversely, at the end of the day, if you're the municipality, like, sure, we'll take it.
Yeah.
We will fix those water pipes that you asked us to fix.
Yeah, I mean, like a $25,000 donation, you probably don't have much power in what they do with it. But
Right. Well, you get in the millions, yeah.
it's like, oh, do you want $3.6 million? Like, yes or no. Do you want this? No. Okay. Never mind. I'll go see if another city wants it.
All right. So, in the not so news of the weird, I have a personal question that I want you to answer.
Oh, goodness.
If you, who would you want to have? Who do you really want to see perform? Like, I want to do I've got an itch to do just a standard concert promotion, and I want to bring a band in, and I want to do the Ashley Caps. Basically, is what I want to do here.
Yeah.
Actually, when I'd interviewed Ashley Caps forever ago, the totality of the interview came out to me that the only reason he is as awesome and puts on as great shows as he does is because there were people he wanted to see and meet and interact with because he was into it. And instead of trying to travel the world to go see these people perform and get into some elite circles to be able to get backstage and get to know these people, he instead created AC Entertainment and put on concerts in Knoxville and around East Tennessee as a way to bring people that he wanted to see to him.
Right.
So I want to do that.
It worked.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm on this Muse kick all of a sudden. Like, I want to do the math on what it would take to put on a concert for bands that I want to see. Part of the problem is like I'm old and all my bands are falling apart and don't really exist anymore. Like as far as active bands go, Muse is the top of my list. Foo Fighters would be another one.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to come here, but but they're also out of my range. Like Muse might be one because they don't tour like that anymore. They haven't been touring like that, at least, where it'd be to try to do a one-off show where it's not inside of a tour. So they're going to do a tour, and they're going to promote their tour, and they're going to do it themselves.
Right.
And so it's literally going to have to be a, hey, come do my thing kind of band. Like Pumpkins maybe be a band that I could see maybe pulling it off.
I think Muse is still pretty big.
Yeah, Muse is huge.
Yeah.
Last time they were in the States, they did a U.S. tour for their last album, a North American tour for their last album, and it was all. They didn't come to Tennessee, but it would have been Bridgestone if they came to Tennessee. They did Schottenheim in Columbus, where we saw Radiohead.
Okay, basketball.
They did
arena.
Phillips Arena down in Atlanta. They were doing arenas.
Yeah.
Which, whatever. Like, if we're promoting the show, I get to hang out with the band and be backstage and do whatever because it's my show.
Right.
So I don't care where they perform. But, like, I don't know. Like, I like the I guess the rabbit hole I went down, too, on thinking about it. It's like, we have the only amphitheater, we have two amphitheaters in Knoxville. We have the World's Fair one, which is like 400, which is worthless. Like, you can't, like, nobody's coming to town to play World's Fair Amphitheater.
Yeah, there's no field behind it to have whatever you call it.
And then we have the Howard Simpson or something like that. That's part of Chilhowie, where Tennessee Valley Fair does their concerts, and it's a couple thousand.
I can't picture. I don't know if I've ever noticed
Right,
it.
which Lakewood, which used to be Hi-Fi Buys.
Yeah.
Well, it was Coca-Cola Lakewood, and then it was Hi-Fi Buys, and then it's now just Lakewood Amphitheater in Atlanta. We need one of those. I would love to have one of those here. And I think we kind of do. I think you could make Lakeshore. I think you could get Lakeshore. It wouldn't be a full amphitheater in the sense that you have a permanent stage built, but I think Lakeshore would be the best option.
They have a tiny one there now.
Yeah, but I think you could use Lakeshore with the hill.
It'd be possible to build a small stage.
Right. You do you do one of the trailer we have the production capability in local companies to do lights and sound and stage in the mobile format to drop it. But I mean, the other one too, because but if you're going to do it that way, you already have World's Fair, the performance lawn,
right? Is
the other one to do it on. But I don't like fuck World's Fair Park. It sucks. I'd rather do Lakeshore if we're going to do something like that. So maybe that's what I should try to do.
Well,
but Muse is too big.
That's why I think that's why large concerts are done there at World's Fair, because you do have the access to much more parking around that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Lakeshore would be a problem with parking.
Yeah, there's a bunch of tiny parking lots.
I just want something that you could do, between, you could do a 10,000 seat or a 60,000 seat. It's 10,000 seated with an additional 50, 60 in lawn GA. But nobody does that anymore because that's my problem. And I think that's kind of the catch of my problem is that I hate festivals. I have zero desire to go to a festival. Bonnaroo has had some headliners that I've wanted to see bad.
Right.
They've had some lineups that had multiple parts and pieces that I wanted to see bad.
Right.
And not an ounce of me wanted to spend that kind of money, or the experience did not sound inviting to me at all.
Right.
Of what it takes to go and partake in the giant event that is Bonnaroo.
Exactly.
I get it. I love it. If you're into it, have at it. Ain't me.
Right.
I want a one-off show. I want to go to the show. I want to get my fucking face melted. I want to experience God for a couple of minutes, and then I want to go home. I don't want to live in a tent for a couple of days and go around and bounce around and then figure out if I want to go to this stage or that stage and have some weird itinerary for my day. I want it to be a very specific one-off. And that's it. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, who I want to put the energy and effort into trying to go out and do a bunch of stuff to put together and put on a show. But I want to do it. I really want to do, maybe Pumpkins is the one. But I don't know. I don't really want to see the Pumpkins anymore.
Not the same. There's just
I don't even know I don't know that I'd want to meet Billy Corgan. He's one of the best ever to me. He's one of my favorite ever to have existed. He was one of the most obnoxious songwriters that I've ever. He's one of those guys that just kind of sneezes and it's oh, that's a great song. Or he sneezes and that's a bad song. Trent Reznor made fun of him with that whole.
Really?
It's you just write songs, just kick out everything. Everything comes to your head. You record it and you put it out and you call it a song. Where Trent Reznor's I write thousands of songs, but I only work songs that are good.
Right.
And so there's a little bit of back and forth that. Anyway, I don't know. It's in my head now, and I've got to work this out a little bit on how hard I want to try, because I don't know. I'm not hip. I don't know. Maybe I can incorporate this into Hollaroo and start and really turn the headliner of Hollaroo into something obnoxiously big.
It's possible.
I mean, it certainly is.
Not start out with a huge act.
I mean, we've had I don't get it. We've two of our headliners have been headliners that people were freaked out at me about when I told them who it was.
Really?
It's I have no idea who these people are. And they're holy shit, are you serious? They do this, they do this song. And I was yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not cool. I'm not into stuff.
And we saw Here Come the Mummies years ago. There weren't that many people there.
There's a guy that owns them. It's a whole different thing.
Right. No, I was just using that as an example of there's enough people out there that are holy shit, you had that band?
Yeah.
But they were in a little, not a hole in the wall, but a small club there was maybe 100 people in there. I don't even know if it was that much upstairs at that time.
Yeah. They were good, though. God, the Mummies were real good. Anyway, all right. We went long. Thanks, everybody. I got nothing. I'm trying to think of something funny and witty to finish the show on, but state legislators doing stupid state legislature stuff. I think, I don't know, almostagreement@gmail.com. Hit me an email. Help me understand why people want to live here when our government is arguably stupid, but not stupid. I'm so confused. almostagreement@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, almostagreement.com. Let us know what you got going on. We got a mayoral debate, April 14th. Mark your calendars. Be there. Please help support it. I'm going to freak out. I'll probably pee my pants on stage in front of everybody. You know, do what people do. You should be there to see it. It'll be something. almostagreement.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, almostagreement.com. And support the show. Text us to your friends. Do what you can do to help spread the word. And we're going to keep doing what we do, and we hope you hang out and do it with us. All right, everybody. Bye.